You stay classy, San Diego.
All I'm offering is the truth.
Stop breaking the law, asshole!
I think you're some kind of deviated prevert.
He's you real nice. If I didn't have puke breath, I'd kiss you.
I was thinking of the immortal words of Socrates, who said,
Did have shade. Leon's getting larger.
Hydrosonic, I go super duper.
You have nobody guarding your potatoes. Medicine and medical and what we're doing.
A lot of very bad things are happening in Nicaragua.
That's better than a brick because you can't throw a brick, it's too heavy.
I'm a dude playing a dude disguised as another dude.
Just the facts, ma'am.
Michigan gave us Motown, gave us Motown, gave us the Mustang.
Yosemites. 10 minutes, 15, 20 minutes later, they say, remember the first question? Not the first, but the 10th question? Yosemites. Bags of soup. They're not allowed to be offensive, unfortunately. Wildlife refuges. I mean, you look at this, you look at what we do with our wildlife.
Oh, the heck with that. I think I'll just start. I think we just jump right in. How are you? I said I'd be back on. I said I'd be on later tonight. Yesterday, when we thought the event, the White House Garden event, rally, Hatch Act violation, Covita musical interlude, whatever the hell that was, we kind of thought, most of us, that it was going to be later in the evening, like rally time, you know, this kind of thing. But it turned out, and this is my guess, that you guys have been sick, right? You've had a flu. You've been under the weather. You've been, dragging ass. You've been barfing up a lung. You've been, blowing chunks. Playing fire hose at both ends. You've had that experience, right? Usually, Oh, Christina, thank you so much. Yeah, this is kind of a later stream just simply for some of the folks that are in different time zones. I feel like I should do an Ali Velshi schedule, like really ass early in the morning and then later on. But anyways, hi. So welcome. Hi, I'm glad you guys could make it for the Saturday. So you guys have been sick before, right? You've been through a situation where you haven't felt that great. Usually, day 3 or 4, if you're feeling, if you're, even the second day, I find after the big day hits, when you get the flu or something, the second day, there's a window where you feel almost okay. You might be really tired, but there's a window where you're all right, right? Sometimes it's in the morning, sometimes it's later in the evening. Some people, like, you get up and it's the worst of it. Some people just, after the sun goes down, you hit a wall, right? Hi, Ruby. Thanks. Well, I'm glad you could join us. Dr. Connolly just said Trump is COVID-19 free. Bullshit. We'll get into that. Because he shows antibodies, which they injected him with. So, all right. I would like him, and by the way, he's not an epidemiologist. He's not even an MD. So maybe he's, as the mouthpiece for some of the others, he's saying that. But he's also under the command of the commander-in-chief. So if Trump tells him, go out and say, I'm purple, he has to go out and say the president is purple. He can't go, why should I say you're purple, sir? He has to, that's none of your business. National security. Go tell everybody I'm purple. And he has to follow orders. He's not, this isn't his personal doctor who, who's being interviewed by, or made to testify in front of the Congress. So anyways, we'll deal with that in a second. He did, the antibodies he took are supposed to last somewhere between 2 and 4 months. We'll see what happens as he's coming down off the steroids if they've taken him off dexamethasone, which I doubt. I think they have tapered his dosage. That would be my guess. As a medical physician, that's what you would do. You don't flood somebody who's 74 years old and in crap health with a bunch of chemicals and then snatch those chemicals right back. You understand? Like, as a doctor, they have, oh, thanks. It's, it's getting there. I should sit on the stool so you can actually see the length. Anyways, so yeah. So that's, there's a lot to this. But Trump did an interview with Mark Levin. We didn't hear it. It was last night. It aired last night. Now, I apologize ahead of time because Mark Levin sounds like the doctor told Ben Shapiro he'll die unless he lives off of helium for the next 10 years. I don't understand how, for all, and maybe it points to the whole manhood issue that these guys seem to have, but none of the guys, it's really odd. Tucker, Sean Hannity, Glenn Beck, Ben Shapiro, Mark Levin, all these guys have really pinchy, high, kind of childish, squinchy voices. You know what I mean? There's something like they never physically matured as humans or something. And it would be one thing if it was just one of them. Like, yeah, he's the squeaky one. They all sound like this. We haven't, you know what I mean? Like, we've gone through a few of these. I guess where, I only done the one Tucker thing we did the other night. I don't pay that much attention to Tucker. I've seen, like you guys have, the occasional clip on Twitter or something where he said something particularly racist, or when it turns out his head writer had been posting on a white supremacist bulletin board or a section of 4-8chan, right? And that story came up. But there's nothing likable about the guy at all. It's got to be rough. Imagine being tormented with that little, well, I went, all right. Being tormented with, how do we frame this? That's not right. Such an enormous lack of personality that apparently is made up for by lizard-like reactions from your vocal cords and your spinal column that make you intrinsically unlikable. Because, like, we all know Donald Trump doesn't have any friends. Not a one. Not a one. And thank you guys for joining me. And we're already on a level 5 hype train. How did that happen? Right out of the gate. I got to remember to remind you guys to tweet and cheer and all that kind of... Oh, thanks, Nika. I got to remind you guys to do that more often. Because we do it at the top of the show, and I greatly appreciate it. But then I forget to bring it up again. And it's, well, yeah, it's, I don't know. It's the business of Twitch that I don't do. Anyways, so... honest to God, like, I know Trump doesn't have any real friends. He has people who use him. He has some people who are equally as unlikable as he is, who see some sort of camaraderie, like a bunch of, Komodo dragons with a septic bite who, they'll all kind of share a deer carcass, but if one of them gets, reaches a little too much, they'll go for him. Even somebody said, like, Trump, somebody in the chat room just said, Trump's friends are, thank you, T-Brock, Trump's friends are his fellow criminals. Those aren't friends either. I mean, any criminal would tell you this, I would presume, but it's a quite untrustworthy group. You know what I mean? I mean, there's certainly this idea of honor among thieves, and the mob certainly has some sort of standards. It would appear from the movies that I've watched over time, but I don't actually believe any of these folks are genuinely friends on that level. And when they do, it usually gets them in trouble because it makes them make choices between loyalty and life, right? Trump is incapable of that. The dude does not have any real friends. He has sycophants and supporters, and he has people who leech off of him. And, he's got the Michael Cohens of the world that, these on-off relationships. But they're not... Nobody can call Donald Trump at 3 o'clock in the morning and go, I need help. I'm hurting. And get anything but click. Seriously. Oh, Cassie, you guys, this is awesome. Look at you guys. 548% on the level 5. That's insane. You guys are awesome. This is, so anyways, Trump went on Mark Levin show. Now, I'm going to show you stuff because it's audio, right? And today, Trump at his little event was supposed to be on for a half an hour. We didn't know really, a lot of the details were hidden from everybody today, as we went straight to that. And I was prepping for the radio show and all that other stuff, and they had decided to do this, and we thought it was going to be at night, and then it was going to be 2 o'clock, and then was it going to be, 2 o'clock Pacific time? Where is he going to go someplace? Any of that stuff. He ends up, now let me find the screen. He ends up doing this from the White House. More pictures are starting to come out. This is him coming out and taking off his mask, showing that he's wearing the mask inside the place, takes it off for a speech, and then puts it back on, good protocol, that's fine. This is the gathering. Really on that long lens, making it look like a lot of people are there. They invited 2,000 people, 400 showed up. No word on whether those people came of their own free will or were paid or any of that stuff. Yeah, we're going to deal with that in just 1 second. So in this, there's a bunch of pictures of this situation, but this is the crowd. There's a little puddin'. Look at that little kid. He's wearing a cop hat because they're there to support law and order. So he's there with his dad, who's a cop, and that's fine. But they're all pinned into this area. You cannot go outside this area. You can't go up on the grass. Here's Mark Meadows, I think. We can't really tell. But giving everybody the thumbs up for this Hatch Act violation. But they were all kept on the grass. This is right at the banner. He's behind the banner. And the president was up on this, up on the podium. From this, it looks like they're gathered right up to this, right? Candace Owens' company paid for many and lodgings. They aren't local. Yeah, they flew these folks in for this stuff. But look at the distance between this stuff right here. Look at that. They're not even allowed on the asphalt. All these people would have fit on the asphalt right here. But they wanted him back so that the shots of Trump, so that over his shoulder, they could shoot pictures where it looks like a sea of black people coming to love Trump. This was not about them. This was about positioning them so that the small gathering would look like they were a large gathering for him. See this? Because if they really wanted him to be able to speak down to them, and this was the size of the crowd, they could have put them all in here. They could have all just let him stand on the asphalt, let him come straight up to here. They would have been outside the 11-foot distance and still, visually much closer. They did. That's what, yeah. So, yeah, 2,000 people were invited, 400 arrived. And many of them were paid for. Now, this is the story that's coming out right now. Whoops. What'd you do in restarting like that? Oh, it reset because of this. Hold on, I'll scroll down. This is an AP shot. Look at that. Look at that right there. That is an older man with a teensy hand receiving a lactated ringer or an IV. Straight into the top of his hand, which means why they're not doing it further up his arm is beyond me. This is standard operating procedure, but you can do it up his arm. Is it because he's done it so many times there, he basically has a port? And look at the color difference. Can we do that for a second? This is what? Okay, this is generally what color he is as a human being. And this is something else entirely. This and this. This is very odd. So, but there's two Band-Aids there. That looks like an IV. That's not the first time he's had that. Yeah, so, and then a bunch of people, like they're not going to notice. This is and the orange. Come on. Here's a bad idea. Pick your Band-Aid based on your face color. That doesn't work. That's not going to help. Just look, it's almost like he's going, look at my Band-Aid. It's like he's showing it off. Yeah, that's pretty gnarly. This is also pretty gnarly. This combo of skin color versus face. So this is, and here's the thing. At 74 years old, after getting COVID-19 and going through a series of procedures, there's nothing intrinsically wrong. This one really stood out to me. This is Heather Campbell put this picture in, and she goes, this image is real, and the more you look at it, the less real it looks. It's super weird. His hand and his arm are tiny. His head looks gigantic compared to it. His neck waddle is full bullfrog. The color between his face and his hands is way off. They freshly dyed his hair and his eyebrows. They tinted his eyebrows to match his hair, but they don't quite fully match. Like they didn't get the whole thing. He clearly did his own hair, which he does. Dehydration causes difficulty finding a vein. No doubt. Yes, this is a real picture. This is from AP. There's a lot to this that is, has a lot to do with the depth of field of the camera and other stuff that can, hey, Katie. Buenas noches. Cuidado, llamas. Maybe they started the IV when it's in his coat shirt and just didn't want to take it off. I still think, as president, if you're going to take him out, now he may have gotten this weekend and it's just not healing. And he's had this before. I wanted to look this up. I'll see if we can, hold on one second. We'll start the other thing. He's done this a bunch of times. This is not the first time he's had, there was pictures of him golfing, and he had the same IV port on his hand right here. And again, at 74 years old, getting treatments for stuff, I don't know necessarily that you knock him for that. It's just the hiding of it and the BSing all the goddamn time is what creeps it out. This is WTTW in Chicago. With bandages visible on his hands, likely from an intravenous injection, President Trump spoke for 18 minutes, far less than his normal hour-plus rallies. Yeah, well, the hour-plus rally part is, I mean, it's hard not to go, well, it was a bunch of black people, so he didn't really put a full effort into it. He didn't do his 2 hours that he's going to do in front of a bunch of rednecks in the panhandle. He's not going to do an hour like he does in front of his kind of standard Minnesota crowd that's there for him, that drives in from all over the state and gives him the illusion of support in the state. And he was scheduled to talk for a half hour, and he spoke for just slightly longer than half that. Oh, he's cathed. Yeah, no question. That's probably, you know, maybe that's why his leg swings. Wouldn't that be weird if we found out? I mean, it wouldn't be that surprising. Again, you know, that is, you know, that right leg swing that he does, if that was because he had a catheter in. I mean, he is the Fox News demographic. That speech was 18 minutes. If you count the 30 seconds at the beginning and the end as actual speech. But yes, he was out on the podium or on the balcony for 18 minutes. Thank you, Audio Girl Jen. Thanks, Sarah. He's an old man. I'm shocked he's out of bed. He's hopped up on stimulants. That's why, you know, it's a little bit why his brain was jagged. He ranted for 2 hours on the phone last night with Rush. We only did an hour of it, and like nobody needs to do the rest of it. And you know, the fact that he F-bombed is not about, you know, me clutching my pearls about the F word. It's that even while he's president of the United States, the dude can't have any standards. You know what I mean? Like you would think. Anyways, so I want to find something real quick, but let's. I know if I try. This is Levin on the interviewing him, and I apologize ahead of time for Levin's voice.
Levin here, but more importantly, the great.
Honestly, you need. Hold on. Let me show you what I mean. Okay, hang out for a second. May I? Thanks. This shouldn't take too long. I just need to show you something. Let's see. Will this work? Yeah, this one will work. I think this will work. Hold on. This is what, when I hear Levin, this is what I hear every time. Okay, so hold on one second. This is what it sounds like to me.
President of the United States, Donald Trump. How are you, sir?
Hello, Mark. Thank you.
How do you feel?
I feel great. Really good. Really good. Thank you.
You know, on your worst day, you have more energy than Joe Biden. Have you noticed that?
Well, he doesn't have much, I will say that. He doesn't have what it takes, but people know that. Hopefully that will make a big difference on November 3rd and before.
Let's get into some of these issues, Mr. President. I don't think, despite the fact that you keep raising it, I don't think people are really paying attention to Joe Biden's plans on the American suburbs out there. You know what he's planning to do because you put an end to it, right?
Destroy the suburbs and put low-income housing there. That's going to bring a lot of crime. The suburbs is going to be the next target of the radical left. You know that. You know that better than anybody, I think. But the suburbs are going to be the target. They talk about the suburban women. The suburban women, hopefully, they're going to be voting for Trump because they're going to be in big trouble.
Yeah, let him shut up.
Yeah, because he's picked up the Obama plan, right, which they tried in about 40 or 50 counties. It was a disaster. And in addition to this housing, they want to control local zoning, so there's no single-family homes. They want to control where you can put libraries, where you can put transportation. They want to nationalize zoning. And the media seem to cover this up like so many other issues, don't they?
They don't talk about it. It's a tremendous problem. It's something they just don't talk about. Well, they don't talk about the fact that he says no fracking, and then he gets a nomination through luck because Elizabeth Warren didn't give Bernie the chance to do it. You know, I mean, in all fairness to Bernie, he had it made, and then Super Tuesday, Elizabeth Warren stayed in and got a few votes. Bernie would have won every single state.
Kill my mic.
And at least Bernie has some energy behind him.
Why is he
whether you
talking
like
about
him or
Bernie?
not. Obviously, Bernie
This
was
is
a
nuts.
disaster, but whether you like him or not, he had energy. But Elizabeth Warren, it's the second time this happened to Bernie.
Why are you
But
talking? Why is he
you're
talking
right.
about Bernie
the
and
suburbs are
Elizabeth?
in deep trouble because of this. And it's a plan to destroy the suburbs. And it's, Cory Booker is the one that's, I don't know if he's the architect of anything. He was so bad when he ran for president. And so was Kamala, by the way, so bad when she ran for president. And nobody was meaner to Joe Biden than Kamala. But that's what we have. But the suburbs, we're going to keep the suburbs strong. The American dream.
What?
It's very strange, this campaign, because you want to get out, you want to meet the people, you want to go into these states, talk to the people. You spend a lot of time at these events.
Yes, it could be my mini-me.
Often 2 hours, sometimes 2.5 hours, talking about what you want to do.
Hold on.
Very entertaining.
My girlfriend just walked back in, and she caught me in the middle of this, doing a puppet show online. She had no idea I was streaming again or whatever, and she'd gone, hi. So Mark Levin sounds like a puppet to me, so I ran over and got him to show. There is something, too, a version of, I mean, there could be. Yeah, we need more hair for him over here. And some bangage. I think I have a wig somewhere that might actually do it. Not a bad idea. Yeah, well, and that's a problem too, because you can see them. Guys, if I move them around, they're a little too close to the green screen, so they disappear. Huh? Yeah. I agree. Yeah, and I could just do a show like this. Like if I ever don't feel camera ready, I just pop them up here and just talk. Yeah. And what, you don't think I would wear sort of circa Where's Waldo? It's a little Nerd Halen. I mean, honestly, like we could do a Nerd Halen puppet show. Wait a second. Idea factory. Don't. This might be the thing. I have to make a Jeff and a Caleb and a Victor puppet. But I could do it. Hey, it worked for Alice in Chains when Lane Staley wasn't able to film, if you know what I mean. Puppet rock show. I'm just saying. It's good. How was how fast you got hypnotized? Summer went and got hypnotized by Mark Savard for his class. It's a long story, but yeah. So. And then I forgot he had the two. Oh, I see. Yeah, I was like, that was a long one, but yeah. Great. It take a while to get. Aw. Oh, sure. Yeah, they're territorial beyond measure because they think it's a pack. Right. That's great, though. Aw. Yeah. Yeah, they've got some rescue dogs over there. All right. So enough tainting this puppet with Mark Levin. I'm going to continue with what I'm doing, but you guys get my point, though, right? I'm not really hungry, but I could use a mate, like one of the bottled ones, if you felt like running one down. Okay. Yeah, let me know if you need medicine. This won't be a long one, I don't think, but he did a half-hour interview on Levin, so I'm doing that. You guys get to, this is a behind-the-scenes hangout. Put him in a concert T-shirt. That's a great idea. I'll get a Nerd Halen shirt for him. I know, it's weird. Yeah, I went to Home Depot, made keys. Our keys are bigger than the last ones, so we couldn't get the specialty keys. So I have to order those so we can get our own little cool keys. But we've got enough of them to go around. And I got a little plug thing for upstairs for behind the couch. It's kind of nice. It has a plug and things that kind of sits up and you can look at it. We can move it around if we don't like it there, but I thought I was trying to help while I was there. While I was getting keys, they had it. So there you go. A little inside baseball, kids. How are you? Good to see you. Welcome. We were just talking about how Trump had bandages on his hand from an IV during this little speech today. You can see him right here. This is gnarly. Everybody's blowing it up. Yeah. And this color differential is, I mean, it's always weird, but he looks like an Oompa Loompa in this one. Look at this, guys. Like that, this one right here, like look at this. What is happening? What is this and this? What is this? This is grandma's blue hair is indicative of we can't let her go out to the car anymore because she'll get in it and try to drive to Florida. That's what this is. This is goofy. This is this should disqualify you from putting someone on the Supreme Court just because of your lack of judgment yourself. Yeah, are you gonna? You're just about to defend the tone?
No, I was gonna.
Sure.
Be able to write off a makeup artist.
Yeah, if you actually used one. Yeah. You can't. Well, you can't write off a. I don't think you could write off a tax.
Well, not as president, but he could have.
Well, for the campaign could. Yeah. The campaign could write off a makeup artist, but no makeup artist would give him a receipt for this kind of work because it would prove that they did it. And none of them would sign off on this. They would never go, "This is my work, and I stand by it." Would you go on record as being the president's makeup artist if he walked out in public looking like this? No. This is super weird. This is, and he's like, and then of course this was the pit. So, anyways, that's what we're doing. Love you.
The bathtub.
Yeah. He was just. I mean, I think he's dehydrated. So he's, you know how like sometimes if you're dehydrated, you make an impression on your fingers and it takes a little while. Yeah. That's what's happening. Like this is just dry. First of all, the man needs to be dry brushed by a team of professionals. Secondly, he needs. I recommend sticking a pipe cleaner in one ear and sticking out the other and just going back and forth to just, But this is rough. So, anyways, love you. Hi. All right.
Connect with the public.
Continuing with Mark Levin.
Joe Biden pretty much has decided he's going to stay in the House. Here's my question to you.
Okay. So this is, Joe Biden has decided he's pretty much going to stay in the House. This is the refrain. Okay, can you not adapt to reality? Can you, honest to God, can you not recognize that they are, hold on, let me find, let's see. Erie, Pennsylvania. 4 hours ago, okay. Biden en route to Erie, Pennsylvania. This is just Biden campaigning. This is just a, there you go. A day ago, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris meet tribal leaders, rally supporters in joint visit to Phoenix. Harris stumped in Battleground, Arizona in first joint campaign stop. Day after debate, the campaign's focus moves to Arizona. Let's see. Biden will get tested more frequently and continue in-person campaigning. Next Trump-Biden debates uncertain. That was before it was canceled. But Trump hosts White House event after hospitalization. Biden speaks in Pennsylvania. They have been pushing this whole stay in the basement thing. They're using the same jokes from last year.
It's the most bizarre campaign because you're the only one they report about. Joe Biden staying in the House.
Yeah. Joe Biden staying in the House. He has the biggest house in the world because it apparently includes Arizona, Pennsylvania, Minneapolis.
Do the scientists tell you, Mr. President, that you need to stay in the basement of the White House? They just tell you to distance and wear masks and wash your hands and that sort of stuff. What Joe Biden's doing is not compelled by the science or the virus, is it?
What isn't he doing? And this is yesterday, by the way. Biden has been campaigning in person, doing events regularly for weeks. They reopened actual in-person campaigning after being, sequestered away for a while like everybody was. But they're still doing this. Now I missed the puppet. I know how you feel.
Well, I'll tell you this. I could...
Yeah, go ahead. Tell us about it, champ.
Stay in the White House and just, upstairs, not even go down to the Oval Office, and everything would be fine. But you can't run a country like that. You have to...
No, you can't. You can't run a country like that. You couldn't possibly. America doesn't have the means and wherewithal for the leader of the free world to keep themselves back from a virus and run the country.
People, you have to talk to people. You have to see what's going on. You have to look them in the eye. And
did you look them in the eye from the balcony?
No, you expose yourself
Did you look him in the eye through the window of the SUV?
You do that kind of thing. I go out to the rallies. I do.
Yeah, you go out, do rallies. They're rallies, folks. They're rallying people. He's rallying. He's like, hey, gang, come on, follow me this way. It's not a self-congratulatory ego fest. It's a rally.
Big rallies, and it's
huge.
I think we have tremendous enthusiasm. By the way, I think we have enthusiasm like even greater than we had 4 years ago, Mark.
So you've said.
I think you see it. And, you know, they don't show them often, but we're getting very good polls. 4 up in Arizona, 4 up in Florida. We're getting very good polls. A lot of them came out today. People are appreciating what we're doing.
Yeah. Let's take nothing for granted, folks. But let's just go to 538. They put together a big portion of these polls, kind of give you an aggregate, show you, which ones are really firing on all cylinders. Thanks for filling the tip jar, guys. Go ahead and hype train and give us some cheers if you want. That's helpful, I suppose. I got to remember to do that. I'm so not a pro of all this stuff. Okay, there you go. So let's see. We're going to continue to do this while they're talking about enthusiasm. There's the CR forecast. Biden is favored to win the election. Doesn't mean Trump doesn't have any shot at all. It just means it leans in the direction of Biden by a significant amount. But anything could happen, and you must vote. Also, remember, folks, if your state doesn't go your way as a voter, your vote matters more. More. Do you understand me? If you're in a red state and you normally vote blue, and you're like, I don't even bother because my state always goes red, and there's nothing I can do to change it. Or you live in a blue state and it always, it's like, yeah, it's going to go blue anyways. Why not? You push the mandate if your state agrees with you, and you tighten their mandate in a state that they don't. So if you're in a red state and there's a, they think it's 80% them and 20% you, there's a significant number of people who think just like you do. And if you went out and voted, maybe you wouldn't turn the state, but you'd scare those politicians into listening to what you have to say more often instead of just writing you off as this, this incredible minority. They assume you're not there. Get the points on the board because there are enough people in every state to flip every state. If with rare exception, I mean, it's more true of blue voters than it is of red, but it is slightly true of red voters in some states. That's what makes them swing states. But there are enough sometime voters who believe that their state leans the other way, so they just kick into lazy mode. There are enough of those voters to turn every single election in every state. Everything else being equal, all the people who don't vote at all and all that kind of stuff, doesn't matter. There's enough. So, anyways, there you go. So we'll continue.
And they know that Joe Biden is not equipped to be president mentally. Never.
Do they? Do they really? Do they really? Is that what they do? Because I think it was they actually did have a. There's your disapproval rating. Hold on. Let's scroll this up. How popular is Donald Trump? Yeah, 53.3 approval rating. And a 43 disapproval rating, rather, and then a 43.3 approval rating, and they're going away from each other. They're kind of leveling out right before the election, but they're definitely nearing their highs on each perspective side. This is the lowest and the highest points that he had. We're getting back in that direction. Yeah. And let's see, presidential forecast, interactives. Let's see, CR forecast. Oh boy, that's nervy. But a big bunch of people, there you go. These are the 3 options Trump has to win. He has to do all this to win. Biden can win with just this. See that? With just this, that's enough electoral votes for Biden to win. This is enough electoral votes for Biden to win. Obviously, when you get down into these bigger, chunkier things, if this happens, that's lovely. But as far as volume of people, I'm going to go out on a limb and predict Texas blue. Here's the truth. If everybody who was registered to vote voted in Texas, Biden would win it. But a big portion, like I said, there is easily a, what, Murph? I know. It's true. Well, I know they should vote anyways. Don't get caught up in the polls. I understand. Murphy's concerned we're going to get complacent. What? No. Really? Can you guys hear him? Murphy, come here, buddy. What do you... Yeah, the door's open, so he'll come in on his own if he wants to. Hey, Murph, what are you doing? All right, he skulked away. All right, so, yeah. So this, there's a bunch of these where Texas possibly goes blue. Let me be abundantly clear with you. If everybody in Texas who wanted to vote blue but thought, what's the point, it's going to go red, voted blue, the state would have turned blue a decade ago. No kidding. By all statistical measure, if all the people who in Texas are like, well, Texas is just a Republican state, what can you do? I don't really even, what point? What point is it to vote? If all those people voted, it had been blue already. Not purple, blue, solidly blue, locked blue. So I would say to you, and since this isn't a regular stream or whatever, I'm going to say openly, is Democrats, vote. Whatever state you're in, make it count in that state. If you're in a red state, chip away at their mandate in a way that makes them nervous and makes them listen to the other side of the aisle. Because that's the only way they're ever going to do it. Democrats, to a fault, will often listen to Republican voices and conservative voices because we like to be inclusive, even if it's to a fault sometimes. Republicans never do. If they can steamroll you, they will. So they live like that. If you make them nervous that if they keep this up, they'll lose their job, then they'll start changing. But if they feel safe and you don't bother to vote and change their mind, so vote. Vote wherever you are. Vote every time. We vote every 2 years in this country. There, all right.
But now it's a whole different ballgame. Not because he's 78 or whatever the age is, because I know a lot of people that are a lot older than him and they're 100%. But he's not.
No, you don't.
100%, and he's not 75% either. And I can tell you that Putin and President Xi and Kim Jong-un and all these people that you're dealing with, they are 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see him hit the cough button? You hear that little wiggle at the end?
Something very strange here also. Which
did you catch your reflection? Is that what happened, Mark?
Joe Biden's been around almost half a century in Washington.
Yeah, in public service. You know what's the worst kind of cop? Is one that stays in the ranks, works their way up, and becomes commissioner. You know what I mean? Sitting around with a government job for decades. Like, you know what they're like? They're like generals or something. And the weird part is, don't get me started on judges. Jesus. What judge? When has Amy Coney Barrett ever created a job? Okay. When are we going to get to that, honestly?
He has these cozy relationships with these reporters.
Right.
With these
totally cozy.
Medias, because he's lived in the same swamp as all the rest of them.
You're talking to a guy who posed as his own PR person. Trump did not qualify to be on the Forbes top 500 or whatever, the Fortune 500, and he lied to get himself on the list, played his own publicist to trick Forbes into putting him on the Forbes top 500 or the Forbes Fortune 500. Are you kidding me?
I listened to him say things like, if I'm elected president, this is what we're going to do with healthcare. If I'm elected president, this is what we're going to think.
Yeah, because as president, you have different capabilities, really. You have the ability to do a lot of things. You dictate the the entire, your party, you're the lead member of your party. You're not second tier. You're not the support for the other president. You're not just a senator, just a congressperson. As president, you can come out and say things like,
we're going to be appointing very pro-crime judges.
And then Bill Barr has to start looking for those people for you.
To myself, hey, man, you've been around 47 years.
Hey, man, look, you've been a cop for 35 years. Stop telling me what you would do if you were commissioner, okay? I'm sick of hearing it. You've been in the military for 45 years. First of all, what jobs have you created? And don't tell me what you would do as commander-in-chief all of a sudden, like you're the commander, because you were a commander.
Haven't done a damn thing.
Actually, he has done a damn thing. Specifically, the Violence Against Women Act, which is really stuck in Trump's craw.
Do you notice this too? What has he done? I can't really think of anything significant.
Really?
Well, he's caused problems, but I will.
That's what he did. He's just been a troublemaker. Good trouble.
Say this, I've said it for a long time. 47 years, and he's got very little to show for it except negative things. I mean,
okay, he was going to do his line: 47 years and not 47 months, right? That's the line, right? That's the line he's supposed to do, and he egged it and bailed on it.
If you look, the Secretary of State, Secretary of Defense said that he's never made a good foreign policy decision ever once. Very nasty thing to say, but...
Yeah, the guy because he was too cautious for that person. He wanted to wait 4 days or a week, depending on when they could get the drone flyover, to guarantee that Osama bin Laden was in the compound before we dropped Navy SEALs in 2 helicopters into a walled-in compound that we did not know how many armed forces may be in the facility. It wasn't a drone strike where we maybe find him later. This was boots on the ground, human beings flown into a hostile arena, and he wanted to make sure. Was he against doing it? No. But he was going to be the voice of, everybody's telling you, go, 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 and I'll be the one guy who can be, help you make a decision. I'm going to say, hang out. Make sure, let's do 2 more passes, make sure we got it. I'm watching your back. Was it because he didn't think Osama bin Laden deserved to be killed? No. Clearly not. It's because he didn't want to lose any soldiers doing it. And he was more cautious. And he could afford to be as vice president, as the voice of that caution.
The nasty group of people. But, no, Joe is...
This is 538, by the way, if you're asking.
Not, and he's not... This is...
Since September 1st, by the way... This has been trailing this way. The huge drop-off here and the tick you're seeing right here is when Trump got sick. Or when news came out that he got sick. The idea. Right here. That's that. Here to here.
Not his prime time right now. Let's not get it.
Prime time, Jesus Christ. In his prime. He's not on television.
So when you look at him.
He uses the phrase prime time and he doesn't know what it means, and it drives me crazy. I know it's probably it's one of these weird vernacular choices. It's a colloquialism he misuses, but he does it all the time. What he means is Biden was not that great in his prime, and he's definitely not in his prime now. That's the insult he's going for, right? That's what he's shooting for, and he keeps going. He wasn't great in prime time, and now he's not even in prime time. It's a TV fixation, right? Why is Biden doing much better than Hillary? Because there wasn't a strategy against Biden the entire time like there was against Hillary. Once Hillary got chip on the books and provided children with health care, which laid the groundwork for what could be expanded into the ACA, and indeed was, as well as Medicaid expansion and other things, they had a target on her back. And then she had, when she ran for president, and lost to Obama, and Obama got in, and then he made her Secretary of State, and from that, she ends up being, after she becomes Senator of New York, first ladies are supposed to bake cookies, pick out Christmas trees, and shut the F up.
And yet, maybe it won't matter that much. You have the media is bought and paid for. You take a look at what's going on.
Who bought and paid for them? I know. The Biden campaign is paying for ads because they have the money to do so. There is something to what he's saying, since that his campaign has no money for ads right now.
For the media, it's corrupt. They give him the questions and give him the answers, and
so he memorized, and he's going to memorize, allegedly, the entire town hall that they're doing Wednesday. Okay, I don't know what's more impressive. Walk with me on this. So he's 77, and the point is he's losing it. He's shot. That's the argument. It's just like the basement argument. While he's campaigning, and he's in Arizona and Nevada, he was in Vegas just yesterday. He's in Erie, Pennsylvania today. He's all over the friggin' place, touring and speaking at these groups, talking to union members, having these roundtables, doing all kinds of stuff. Crazy schedule. Just, as somebody in the last weeks of a campaign will have. They're still arguing he's hidden in the basement, he's not going anywhere, he's not meeting anybody. It's dumb. But the other argument that they're making is that they gave him the questions and the answers ahead of time. So you're telling me that the dude you're telling me is shot, he's not all there, he doesn't even know what he's talking about, managed to memorize 2 hours of questions and answers, not just the answers to what they're talking about, but the cues that the interviewer was going to give him. That's it's... Find out which actors, your favorite actors, who memorized the whole script instead of just their own lines. Yeah, he's so senile he memorized the debate performance while on performance-enhancing drugs.
I mean, who would even think this could possibly happen?
No one, because it didn't. You're insane. This is goofy. And if it did, it just makes his case. It makes the case that Biden is capable of memorizing a 2-hour exchange.
Where they ask him a question and he reads it off, he reads the answer off a teleprompter.
Okay, we're going back to the one where they were doing the interviews from home, and because he was looking at 2 monitors, they thought he was reading the answers off a teleprompter. He has seen the one with Lester Holt, the drive-in one, right? And he he was present for the debate that he lost, sort of, where he was constantly interrupting Biden. He does recognize that the facts and figures and the ideas and concepts and principles and plans that Biden brought up, there was no teleprompter there. He was there. Trump was there watching it happen. Biden didn't have a teleprompter and he didn't. That's not the complaint.
Mm-hmm.
I mean...
mm-hmm. Okay, even Levin is not buying it.
Is that even possible?
No.
I've taken thousands of questions. Nobody's ever given me the questions, and
well, yeah, you don't care to answer them. Why would they bother?
And given me the answers, and then who ever heard of a news conference where you have a teleprompter and you're reading the teleprompter when you answer a question? Because that means...
Whoever heard of someone getting a digital download through a light pipe into the back of their head like Neo from The Matrix during a debate? Biden does this. They don't even show it. Nobody admits to it. It's definitely happening. I mean, I didn't see it, but it's there. And then, nobody will talk about it. And I keep bringing it up, and I'm standing in a field with my pants down and a tinfoil hat on, and no one's taking me seriously. What the...
Mark, that they gave you the question. I can't...
Yeah, he just made a pretty weird sound. Are they editing the coughs now? Hold on one second. We'll jump back to this real quick. Oink.
Question. Ever heard of questions? Nobody's ever given me the questions and given me the answers, and then who ever heard of a news conference where you have a teleprompter and you're reading the teleprompter when you answer a question? Because that means, Mark, that they gave you the question. I can't even believe it, to be honest with you. But
no one can. The reason you can't believe it is the same reason no one else can believe it. Because it's what's commonly referred to as horseshit.
I watched that thing the other night, that NBC News deal.
Oh, it's terrible. It was, what a softball. These were questions for a child.
That
reboot
was like
Twitch? Was there a reboot on Twitch? What happened? Hold on. Did something happen? Creator, stream manager. Did it lock up or something? What's happening? No, it seems to be all right. Are you talking to me or are you talking to somebody else? Okay, good. Whew. I would hate to for you to not hear me say horse shit.
A young person, that news conference. That was like for a 12-year-old child.
Uh-huh. A 12-year-old could have answered these questions. Go find me a 12-year-old. I can't make heads or tail of these questions.
The way they treated him. That was...
Yeah? Was it 12 years old? And again, I think he's talking about the town hall.
For an adult.
But I also think they don't understand how the hard questions for Biden are hard for Biden because they're on the normal scale of difficult questions for a politician. You know, how do you feel about, inner city crime, or what's your position on the legalization of marijuana or the right to choose and all these, these elements? And so there's a little bit of political wiggle room that people find one way or another to try and voice their support or opposition to something without alienating necessarily the people who believe fervently in those ideas, while threading the needle, while also how much you stand for your own plain ethics when it's a clear cut and dry issue for you. And that's a difficult thing to do in an interview. It's a difficult thing to do when people are slicing stuff up and using stuff out of context. You're increasingly aware of that as somebody who gets interviewed. I know. I had a nice launch into that world early on in the Queer as Folk days. If you guys remember the kissing a dog controversy, good times. And I was like, oh, I understand. Your answer has to be one sentence, because if it's two sentences, they'll cut the second sentence off and you're in trouble. And so I learned a lot from that right out of the gate. But the questions that are presented to Biden are complicated political questions on the normal scale of what people go through. Trump doesn't understand that by hiding his taxes and having $400 million in debt to God knows who, but largely Deutsche Bank and the Russians, and having like all these ties with organized crime and nonsense, and being, dancing with Epstein and wishing Ghislaine Maxwell well, and 215,000 dead people. All those elements are harder to answer. And no one's going to ask Biden about those things because he's never wished Ghislaine Maxwell well. He's never gone, oh, I hope she's all right, And
they're getting excoriated, even by people on their side. The Lester Holt news conference. They never gave...
They're getting excoriated by everyone, especially.
A news conference like that.
No.
What are you talking about? Of course they have. You got tons of free time when you were running for president on Morning Joe.
I never will.
Oh, no, it's terrible. Just everybody's against me, Mark. I mean, honestly.
No.
Mr. President.
No one kissed a dog. It's an analogy I used, and it's a long story.
There's an effort to paint you as somebody you're not. The Biden and the Democrats and the media, they want to run against somebody you're not.
Oh, you mean the way that Trump is running against Biden as a combination of Bernie and Pocahontas, but only further to the left, and communists, that kind of thing? You mean where he's running against Bernie using Biden as a surrogate? Like that?
Segregationist, the white supremacists, all these awful, awful things.
And all you've ever done is dog whistle those people your entire career. I mean, let's go back to when you were just a average second-generation slumlord, and you were denying people, black people, the right to rent in your buildings, and you were doing all kinds of shenanigans to stop that. How could people even think that?
Yet, they never asked Biden about his record working with segregationists,
that was a weird thing.
Record against integration, his record.
You mean working with Republicans to pass bills? Who are those people? Who are they? They were Republicans.
saying the most god-awful things about he doesn't want his kids to be in a cultural jungle, and on and on and on and on.
Right.
On the other hand, when it comes to the African-American community, the Hispanic community, other communities, you have tried to make specific policy decisions that would create wealth and opportunity in...
Sure. Giving rich people tax breaks to invest in certain areas, building, buildings and whatnot, real estate mostly, just basically a break on real estate taxes, mostly commercial, but whatever, in these platinum zones, what are they called? And yeah, you've been doing all those things. I mean, granted that if they lose money, the U.S. taxpayer picks it up, but hey.
He's in these communities as well. And so you never really get a fair opportunity to compare.
No, you don't. I mean, honestly.
Your record on race and his record on race.
Yeah, sure. Do that. So let me guess. Lowest black unemployment.
No, I don't. And it's a shame. I'm not sure that a Republican does, actually, if you think about it. It's not just me, but it's me, I think, more so, because I've done more for the black community than anybody since Abraham Lincoln.
That was a little garbly. Again, in defense of Lyndon Johnson, sure, he showed his penis to a female reporter when she dared to ask him a question about the Vietnam War. When she asked him a question, how long we're going to stay in Vietnam, and he basically said this long. That kind of thing. But he did sign the Voting Rights Act and the Civil Rights Act, so.
I really have. I mean, no matter how.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I don't even know what black people are complaining about. Sure, their unemployment is still higher than the general public, and that gap has not narrowed during the years president's been in office. So it hasn't changed statistically for them. It's just gone on the same slope it was in under Obama, going in the same direction as they healed the Great Recession. And started getting back on a trajectory through modernization and all kinds of other stuff, and the expansion of the job market to bring them in. But
you got it. Criminal justice reform.
Oh, there we go. You can't talk about black people unless you bring up crime. I was giving him credit for the unemployment thing, and he jumped right past that to, I'm letting a bunch of them out of jail. I don't know what you're talking about. Look, we all think, you and me, Mark, when we're talking about black people, our brains immediately go to crime, like a drug-sniffing dog goes to Rush Limbaugh's Carry On. And I don't...
Prison reform, historically black colleges and universities, got them funded long-term.
I thought, according to today, they were never funded before. By the way, this was last night. Since last night, Trump has decided no one was funding historically black colleges and universities until he got in.
Obama never did.
No, Obama didn't. He didn't fund those. He met with them every year, okayed the funding in the new budget, and listened to their concerns about the community. And that's the issue that Trump had. Let's be abundantly clear. The HBCU funding thing that Trump said, just dump a bunch of money on them. I don't want them in my office anymore. It's not my money. It's taxpayer money. Just pay them, give them a tip, a little extra, and then just have them go around the back. That's what this was. Previous to the Trump administration, the heads of the HBCUs would come to the White House, talk about funding, talk about their concerns in expanding the education base of black people in the country, and making sure that they had every opportunity possible, and deal with, to some degree, how the schools were helping them. If they were getting, students from a particular city or an area, or they stopped getting them because of crime or other issues, they could talk to the president about it and help and say, this is part of what we need addressed, so that the kids coming into these schools are more suited and have all the tools they will need to be the graduates that we hope to make them. And Trump didn't want to meet with them anymore. So he just basically said, write them a check out of your checkbook and get them out of here. Can we just stop with this bullshit? Can we stop pretending he did them a favor? He didn't want to see them anymore. He has not met with them since. How in God's name do people not recognize that? He brags about it. Oh, right on, Cassie. Oh, damn. Oh, wait, I made something. Hold on. I was working. I do work sometimes. Here it is. Cool, eh? Hold on. I dragged that down and made it. Okay. Did that work? Does it look okay? I mean, it's pretty sweet. It's not too bad. That's for Rob Glenn did that drawing from the original hands. Those are my hands, and he tightened them up and did a little bit of art on them. It's awesome. So thanks, Rob. So yeah. So let's this again. When Trump talks about HBCUs and says and brags about how much money he gave them, he gave that money to them, and he didn't continue to meet with them every year to address their concerns. He just did it to get rid of them.
Obama never did criminal justice reform. They couldn't believe.
Do I have to look it up? Do we do that? Do we go through the whole thing again? Do we? I mean, God. Do we have to? Can we? Hold on. Obama era criminal justice reform. Like, do they not know that Google works? I mean, for this'll do. Let's just jump right in here. Fact check. Obama administration implemented several police and prison reforms. The claim: Obama administration implemented no type of police or prison reforms. This is something that that Trump has jumped on. After the fatal shooting of Michael Brown in Ferguson, Missouri, and the choking death of Eric Garner, the Obama established the President's Task Force on 21st Century Policing. The task force has urged police killings may be investigated by independent prosecutors. The task force also called for ending all racial profiling by law enforcement agencies. PolitiFact tracked promises Obama made about criminal justice. It found that Obama kept many promises he made during his presidency, including appointing a special advisor to the president on violence against women. Gee, I wonder whose idea that was. Fully fund the Violence Against Women Act. Gee, I wonder who's behind that bill. Initiate a grant and training program for law enforcement to deter cybercrime. Restore funding for the Burn Justice Assistance Grant program. Obama granted clemency to more than 1,900 people while in office. See if I can grab this. Commuting the sentences of people imprisoned or pardoning them, although he only granted 5% of requests, he received more than 36,000 clemency requests while he was in there. A Pew Research Center analysis found that Obama granted clemency to more people convicted of federal crimes than any president in 64 years. More. Fact check. 1994 crime bill did not bring mass incarceration of black Americans. We've dealt with that before. Obama was also the first president to visit a federal prison where he met with nonviolent drug offenders. Christopher Slobogin, director of Vanderbilt's Law School Criminal Justice Program, pointed to consent decrees implemented by the Obama administration as proof of reform. A consent decree is a court-ordered agreement between law enforcement and the Department of Justice to correct systemic misconduct in police departments. Not an executive order, a consent decree. Logan said, because of the administration's negotiations with a dozen cities, it substantially changed the structure and conduct of police departments. Until, of course, Trump got in and scuttled them. Obama's attorney generals were, of course, in charge of carrying out the president's priorities. Eric Holder served as attorney general from 2009 to 15 when he succeeded Loretta Lynch. They were the first African-American man and woman to work as the country's attorney general. 2013, Holder launched the Smart on Crime initiative, which he called groundbreaking. In a 2015 speech, Holder specifically worked on tackling drug laws, calling them draconian. This is one of the things where they were trying to even out the prosecutions on crack and cocaine, rich man, poor man drug situation. Smart on Crime initiative aimed to reduce penalties for low-level drug offenses so law enforcement could focus on violent offenders. It also introduced diversion programs like rehabilitation, community service as an option instead of our incarceration. It worked very, very well. Let's see. Lynch worked to tackle police reform and issues surrounding justice. She advocated for increasing diversity among law enforcement. Under her, the Department of Justice began investigating the Chicago Police Department in 2015 and uncovered a pattern of excessive use of force. If you guys will remember that whole story when it came out. CPD does not give its officers the training they need to do their job safely, effectively, and lawfully, she said in January 17th. And then so their ruling that he didn't do anything is false. So yeah, just throw that out there. Let's just, because, I got this. All right. It's going to become a thing now. I can just see it.
That I got it done, actually. They couldn't believe it, but I got it done.
Yeah, they could. It was on a list of stuff. It's like the immigration bill. The fact that Trump can't get the immigration bill brought to the floor, and it would pass by, 98-2. It would pass by a veto-proof majority, proves that he doesn't want to pass it. And these bills that he's like, I got that done. I got that. People have been trying forever to get that done. Was just simply stuff that people weren't bringing to the floor.
And opportunity zones with Tim Scott, who's a great guy from South Carolina, as you know.
Because you have to bring up the one black senator in your party every time you bring up black people, because you can't, that's proof that you're on the side of black people. God damn it. He doesn't even, here's the thing. Let's say he wants to bring up Tim Scott because he thinks there's value to it. He can't name the co-sponsors that worked with him. Because that's what you do. If you're making a point about the party and yourself and the fact that you're not racist and you're trying to defend that part of it, you go, Tim Scott came up with some great stuff. Just saying, like, basically, yeah, we let him do it. Black people can do black people stuff and we'll just stand over here and watch. Means that you're incapable of engaging or empathizing or understanding the circumstance that they're in. And yes, on top of that, he's lying. But that's another thing, Angelina, entirely. But imagine, if you will, if you ask Biden about 10 people that were working on a bill, he'll rattle them off. When Biden goes into senator mode, he'll bore the shit out of you with the inside baseball from that stuff, because he knows dozens of people because he talked them through the bill. It signed on to stuff and got who he got on board, who wouldn't come on board, who was being a complete prick about it. Trump's just like, I had one of the black guys was being nice to me, so I put him in charge of HUD because that's a black people department. White people don't need HUD. That's for black people. And Tim Scott's a black senator, so we'll just, anything, I call him up and I'm like, what should I do to throw a bone to black people to get 3% of the vote?
The senator from South Carolina, Tim Scott.
Uh-huh.
And we did all these...
What color is he? Just curious.
Things, and we had the best job numbers in the history of our country for, honestly, for everybody, but for...
Yeah, and you didn't narrow the gap for black people to where white people were, or Asian people were. You didn't bring it any closer. So why... You're like a train, like the guy taking tickets on a train, taking credit for where the track and the conductor take the train that doesn't have any options for where it's going. It just keeps going on the track, and you're going, I don't know if you know this, but I'm driving right now.
The black community, we had the best job numbers in history, most people working, best home ownership, everything. Every statistic was the best.
Yeah, rolling right in from the previous, that was the trajectory we were on from the last administration. And then February happened, and then COVID. But please talk to us about China virus.
Then we got hit by the plague from China,
right.
And it set it back somewhat, but still people recognize it's not my fault. That's
yeah, they don't blame you for the disease, just your response.
And we're coming out of it very strong because the foundations were so good, Mark. We're coming out of it very, very strong. You see the numbers; they're coming out great. In fact, we're almost ready to hit a brand new stock market high.
Yeah, the stock market. What more could you want? Just other countries who are going through worse time are putting money in our stock market in 6 stocks. 6 American stocks are leading the entire rally.
In the middle of a pandemic. And I say rounding the corner of the pandemic.
Yeah, we've heard you use that phrase before. It's not a good one to use when you can't see your penis.
But it's been...
without a hand mirror.
It's been pretty amazing. It's been incredible. And I think we're going to do very, very well with Hispanic. I think we're going to do very well with the black community.
With Hispanic.
I think we're going to do very well with. I think we're going to do very well with everybody. I can tell.
Right. Yeah, he ran out of minorities. With black people, Hispanic. What other colors are there? What phrase do I? What's that Pacific Islander bullshit that they always say? They always manage to say it. Is it APAC? Epic? Screw it. Everybody. I'm doing good.
We had tremendous enthusiasm 4 years ago.
Enthusiasm.
It's much more now. You look at these boats. I mean, thousands.
Oh, boats. I mean, honestly.
Boats on rivers and oceans.
Oh, the black voters for Trump are an enormous electoral block. I don't know why people didn't go for their as a special interest group.
And, I mean, every weekend and tractors now and
tractors for Trump. How did we not think about this last time, buddy? Come on. We got down there today, buddy. Let me tell you what. We're tractors for Trump, buddy. None of us are going to roll down here and do a, whew. You know, if you gun that mother, the top's going to come up, roll back over you, flatten your ass out. So I don't, got to say, you know, the best thing is, and I've been doing this since I was a kid, you can get that wobbler up on one wheel like that. You can just kind of wag the top up there. It's adorable, man. It looks like a Cocker Spaniel with water in its ear. And that is the best. I mean, we are tractors for Trump, buddy. You got to come on down there and join us all right down there. We got grilled corn for the children. We've got a chewing back and spitting contest for the toddlers. It's going to be a good time. We got we got Mountain Dew in baby bottles. What more could you want?
Trucks. They had thousands of trucks the other day in Iowa.
Dude, we got trucks. Come on down there and look at Hearn. We are eastbound and down.
Thousands and thousands of trucks.
Thousands of trucks. It was like the end of Smokey and the Bandit 2.
Nobody's ever seen it. It's organic. It just forms.
Yeah, it's totally organic. It's just, it just grows out of nowhere. You know what I mean? It's got more fiber and vitamin C than your regular, not this synthetic bullshit. It's totally organic.
Doing it.
At least I give him credit for using the right word, organic, this time. Last time he said generic.
It's been an amazing period of time, actually, and I think
it's been this. I agree. This has been an amazing period of time.
I think you're going to see that. They want to vote. You know, our voters want to vote.
I want to vote, man, but I do have some questions. Can I bring my tractor? Is my dog allowed to vote? He got a ballot. I signed him up last time. I was like, "That's an American dog, son. Come on."
But they don't want to. They don't want to send in.
I don't want to.
Ballots, which are turning out to be a disaster.
I don't want a phony ballot. I don't even know. Can I vote without the UN knowing where I live? All right. If I register to vote, can I have real quick? When I registered as a sex offender, when I moved in here, and I am, for the record, 500 yards from the nearest barnyard animal. For the record, don't get your hopes up. When I registered, when I moved, did that automatically register me to vote? I got some questions. I just want them answered. That's not a...
Pastor, I don't know if you saw it today.
I did not see that. I got to be honest. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw a sweet little piglet, and I was distracted while you were talking, Mr. President. I missed it.
In Ohio, 50,000 ballots were wrong, fraudulent.
Were wrong, fraudulent. Okay, here we go. 50,000. God damn it. Ballots. Ohio? Is that where he was saying? That was his whole thing? Okay. This is what he's talking about. This is Columbus. This is thing. Ohio County says nearly 50,000 voters received wrong. Get out of here, AB. I'm not going to start my day with you. It's cattywampus. Okay. Let's check this out, shall we? Let's go through it. Come on, a little bit little bit of civics lesson. Here we go. This is the story, man. 50,000 ballots are fraudulent. Remember that word. Fraud. Fake. Like somebody who, I don't know, tells a bank they have more money than they actually do and tells the IRS they made less than they did. That kind of thing. All right. Nearly 50,000 voters received incorrect. Incorrect. That's a pretty hard word. Absentee ballots in the county that is home to Ohio's capital and largest city. Election officials said Friday, as they promised, corrected ballots would be mailed within 72 hours. All right. Well, that's okay. Guess it'll be fixed in 3 days. Yeah. All right. With about 240,000 ballots mailed, that meant 1 in 5 voters received a wrong ballot. The error happened Saturday afternoon when someone changed a setting on a machine that replaces absentee ballots into mailing envelopes. Franklin County officials, election officials, said Thursday some ballots had an incorrect congressional race, while others had the correct information but were sent to voters in a different precinct. The Franklin County Elections Board said 49,669. Hello, boy, why don't they just roll over and thank you? Give you a ballot back while I give you mine. You sign my ballot while I'm signing yours, right? All right. Voters received incorrect ballots of about 237,498 that were mailed. This represents 6% of Franklin County's approximately 880,000 registered voters and 0.6% of the 8 million voters registered statewide. Fraud! Terrible, terrible, terrible. Was the 69 balloting thing too much? All right. The process to print stuff, the replacement ballots and envelopes and mail them was underway Friday, the Franklin County Election Board announced. The board also said it will mail postcards to all affected voters, detailing the situation and highlighting voters' options going forward. Those options include voting in person at the board's offices on the city's north side. So come on down. The Elections Board said multiple checks are in place to ensure that only one voter can cast a ballot, including rejecting any replacement ballots if someone went ahead and voted in person. Right, because they have a UPC symbol on them, and it will flag that they've already been accepted. This is 2020, after all. Trump still thinks that you get a purple finger when you vote in person. The news of incorrect ballots brought renewed focus on elections. Blah, blah, blah. Tuesday, election chief announced that Ohio's 88 Elections Board received a record number of absentee ballot applications. I thought they were sending them out universal with people weren't asking. Psh. Why would they have a record number of absentee ballot applications if they were just sending them out willy-nilly to everybody? The bottom line is Ohioans can be assured we will have a safe, secure, and accurate election. Damn it. President Trump, who is alleged fraud associated with voting by mail with no evidence as such fraud exists, quickly cited the Franklin County case on Twitter, calling it a rigged election. No such evidence exists. Yeah, well, forget that. Okay. Mr. President, it certainly was a serious mistake, but a serious mistake that we are working hard to make right, the board tweeted in response to Trump. Our board is bipartisan and our elections are fair and every vote will be counted. Just minutes after his tweet alleging fraud in Ohio, the president tweeted in support of Colorado, which has an all mail-in balloting program. The system, sorry, what? Franklin County, Ohio went to Hillary by 26 points in 2016. It's already blue. Yeah, that's the other thing, is the vast majority of these places where all these rigged things are happening turn out to be areas like the 99 ballots that were in those 1,800 pieces of mail that were dumped in the ditch that became a river when he talked about it. We're going to a Democratic-leaning district. So it looks like a Trumpster was throwing them out. Colorado, your mail ballots are being sent out beginning today. Fill them out and vote. Trump Pence 2020, the president tweeted.
Thousand.
Out.
You know, you're talking about, that'd be a good win.
Whoa, yeah. 0.6%.
And 50,000 ballots in Ohio.
Oh, 50,000 ballots in Ohio. All of them Trump, all of them already filled out. They were set on fire and then peed on before the postal worker dumped them in a river.
It's incredible what's going on, Mark. Actually incredible.
Explain it. If it's incredible, tell us the incredible details. Don't give us the headline. Tell us, sir. What was it about this case that really stood out in your mind? I mean, we've heard from the Board of Election. They tweeted you right after you made your statement that they're rectifying the situation, these 50,000. They go to a very Democratic-leaning district. Clearly, these would be Democrats that would be denied the right to vote for a congressional candidate. It didn't affect their presidential part. The federal part of it would still work. So it wouldn't affect the presidential election at all. And these are Democratic districts. So this would only actually benefit Republicans if this worked out, whatever. But the Board of Elections is saying they're fixing it. So what was the what stuck out when you read this story? When you got down to paragraph 3, I told you guys again and again, don't retweet a story unless it's from a totally trusted source, somebody that you dearly love and you're very close to. And even then, it's better to check half the time because they might not have the standard. Check the third paragraph. Third paragraph is either where the story builds steam or they put the caveats that go, there's also a reason to believe this might not be true, but if it is true, this is what happens. That's the third paragraph. The third paragraph is, not only does this suck, but this sucks and this sucks too. That's how you do it. So go as far as the third paragraph before you trust where the story is going.
News Talk 820. WBAP.
I gave this long, beautiful statement, and then I realized there was nobody on the other end of the line, but that's okay.
What did we miss there? Shit, what did they edit out? That's amazing. What was that?
Okay, this long, beautiful statement.
News Talk 820.
So he just kept yammering, and they cut up the interview into pieces. So this was not live on Mark Levin's show, for the record. That's how we know right now. He was just jabbering, and they're like, Mr. President, let me toss to a break, and we'll come back or whatever. And they didn't never get a chance to do that. Levin just recorded a conversation with him, and they just sliced it up, and they cut the part where this part makes sense at all. Listen.
WBAP.
I gave this long, beautiful statement. And then I realized there was nobody on the other end of the line, but that's okay. I could give it again.
But the whole country.
Wait, was he talking to Mark? Had Mark hung up on him?
That's okay.
I must be in a brownout area, and I'm not even in California.
Yeah.
Ew. Oh, so he was talking to Mark, and Mark's phone had gone dead, so he was just yapping.
Could be. It could be. The deep state.
The deep state. The what? It's the deep state that shut your phone down, Mark.
But the whole country heard you.
That's okay.
I must
wait. Hold on.
Statement, and then I realized there was nobody on the other end of the line, but that's okay. I could give it again.
But the whole country heard you.
That's okay.
Country heard. I must be in a brownout area, and I'm not even in California.
Yeah, it could be. It could be. The deep state cut us off.
The country.
The deep state cut us off. Jesus Christ. I swear to God, if this dude hadn't been born rich, or if his dad had died sooner, he'd have had a compound in Waco.
Did hear you. In fact, they didn't hear me, I'm afraid. All right, here we go.
Don't be afraid. That was actually the best part of the interview.
Let me ask you a few more questions.
Sure, why not? And please, brown out again.
Talk about this virus. Think about all the things you've done, all the time.
By the way, I don't know why he's like, I must be in a brownout area. It means power, but it's his cell phone that went out. This is so odd.
Spent on it, the team you put together, the experts, the pharmacies, the Defense Production Act, Fauci, Birx, on and on and on and on.
Fauci, Birx, on and on.
And the Democrats are sitting in the basement and shooting spitballs and blaming you for over 200,000 deaths when you had nothing to do with what happened in the nursing homes and so forth. What do you think about that?
Oh, it's terrible. It's just so wrong. And we've done so much, and we've done the best anybody's ever best. And we've done things that people even, and the therapeutics, and I call them a cure.
Well, I think it's a shame. And I think it's now starting when you look at the vaccines that we're coming out with. We're coming out with incredible medicines and vaccines, Regeneron. When you look at what
Regeneron. Regeneron is the name of the company, not the drug.
Happening, I think people are starting to see what a good job we've done. You know, the ventilators, nobody could have done what we've done with it. It's the biggest.
Why? Why? I mean, first of all, the Obama administration had already ordered 19,000 ventilators, and they killed the order 2 years ago. And then they had to reorder them. They paid almost twice as much, and they won't be here till 2022. What makes you think any other president and circumstance wouldn't have, early on especially, gone, we're going to need ventilators. This is a lung disease in the very beginning of this whole thing, before we found out more about, treating people other ways and keeping them off a ventilator as long as possible. Wouldn't have just gone, make some friggin' ventilators.
Probably the biggest thing that's happened in terms
World War II?
Of mobilization since World War II.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. I mean, this is like saying, I haven't bailed water like this since the great worldwide flood.
Say, generators. And we're making them for right now all over the world.
Excuse me, they're called regenerators.
World. And, our job is...
Hold on.
And we're making it in terms of mobilization since World War II, they say, generators. And we're making them for right now all over the world.
We're making generators? You mean ventilators?
And, our job is to stock and to help the governors, the 50 governors, some of whom have done a great job, some of them...
I thought you were not supposed to be a mail person. They were supposed to get their own. We're supposed to now stock and supply? The federal government is supposed to stock? Good God.
Whom have done a terrible job. But we did that.
Yes, I can explain the fetal tissue thing in a minute, about Regeneron in a moment.
Got them what they needed. Their cupboards were bare. They should have been full. But when I took over, we were bare from Obama and Biden.
Oh, yeah? And you left them that way for 3.5 years.
Biden did one of the worst jobs ever with the H1N1 swine flu.
Oh, yeah, terrible. I remember the great shutdown of H1N1. Remember what you guys did? Oh, God. And there was nothing to binge. This is pre-Netflix. That was hell.
Did a terrible job.
Terrible. Terrible job. We lost 47 million people, whatever.
And, then
Ebola?
All they do is they sit back and they criticize, but we've done a fantastic job. And you're going to see it now with the medicines and with the vaccines, because we're so far ahead. This would have taken somebody else years to come through. And
why? By the way, the drugs that he took, besides REGN-CoV-2, which is still in testing phase, hasn't gone through clinical trials, still will not be made available, even in emergency use. There are only 50,000 doses of it in existence. They still don't know what the negative effects are. The other treatments he got, including using dexamethasone, using remdesivir, didn't come from the United States.
And we're doing it...
in calls from Walter Reed, Trump shared an idea that he was considering when he left the hospital, that he wanted to appear frail at first, but underneath his shirt he would wear a Superman t-shirt, which he would reveal when he ripped open the top layer. Oh, God. I think he was
literally
joking.
In a matter of months we were able to do things that have been amazing.
Yeah, they've been amazing. Yeah, a 9/11 every 3 days. I mean, if I were you, I would throw my shoulder out of the socket, patting myself on the back.
Mr. President, you're running in part on defending the Constitution, defending the Supreme Court.
Uh-oh, he's browning out.
Or defending...
No, he was not. That was not a joke. He wasn't kidding. It's written, but that doesn't mean he wasn't, I was being sarcastic. I mean, I don't doubt he liked the idea. Somebody else floated it as a joke, and he took it seriously. That could very possibly.
The institution of the Senate, defending the voting process.
Defending the institution of the Senate.
Including the Electoral College. Joe Biden doesn't even have the guts to say what he would do with the Supreme Court.
Oh, he has the guts. He's just not stupid enough to tell you how many shots he has left in his gun. I tried to make this analogy earlier, but they're trying to get Biden to say whether or not he would, quote unquote, pack the court, have a justice for every circuit court, which is what, we have 13 now. We had 9. There were 9 justices for a long time because we had 9 circuits. And now we have 13 circuits. So we could have a judge for every circuit. That makes sense within the conduct of it. Biden doesn't lean that way, but it doesn't mean it's completely off the table. But it's a discussion. It's also up to the Congress. It's not even up to him. Congress would decide whether to do this. Now, he could okay it and whip votes and give it presidential leadership and bully pulpit and blah, blah, blah. But it's not up to him at all. But it scares the crap out of Republicans who are thinking about shoving Amy Coney Barrett through the process, that what if they do? And they do manage to get her in and Trump loses and the revenge from the Democrats comes hard and swift, that if they don't add all 13, they add 2 more and then retire somebody and then that's it. That's what they're afraid of. So why would you tell them you're not going to do it if and let them off the hook? or tell him you are going to do it, and then they use that as more of a reason to get her on and go, see, they're just going to try and balance it away from you. But the analogy I used was the Dirty Harry one. Now, I know you're asking yourself one question. Fire 6 shots or only 5? To tell you the truth, I forgot myself in all this excitement. You have to ask yourself one question. Do I feel lucky? Right? That was the idea. That's what he's doing in that moment. Was he bluffing? Now, in the movie, if you'll recall, at the end, he wasn't bluffing. He fired 5 shots. In the beginning, when the bank robbery happens and he gets shot in the leg stopping the bank robbery, his gun is empty. And the guy is 2 inches away from a shotgun and too far away to stop the guy. So he uses that as a way of, spoiler alert, the movie was made in '68. So the whole point with the Dirty Harry scene, the purpose of that whole did he fire, do you feel lucky punk part, is that he's bluffing the guy. Because the guy's closer to his shotgun than he is to the guy, so he could never stop him, and he'll die. If the guy reached for his gun, he'll kill him. So he decides to talk his way out of it. And because he's scary and convincing and calm enough, the guy buys it. And then as he's walking away, the guy goes, hey, I got to know. And he turns around and goes, click. That's the story, right? Yeah, I mean, shit that would get you fired and thrown under the jail now. But that was the whole point. He was out. And at the end of the movie, when he's up against the serial killer, who's effectively like the Zodiac, that's what they make the guy out to be, he does the whole thing, only he's really mad. And he knows he's got a bullet left, and he wants the guy to go for it, and he ends up. And the guy reaches for his gun, gets it in his hand, and is pointing it towards him before the shot is fired. Total justifiable use of deadly force. Also, they often point out that and I pointed this out before, Carl knows this, that the actor who played the guy who he says that to is in every Dirty Harry movie as another character. And ultimately plays his best friend Horace in Sudden Impact, which is the last serious Dirty Harry movie. I think Deadpool was after that, and Dirty Harry's doctor throughout all of them has been black. He has a black doctor, which in, 1969, 1971, whatever the shit, whenever they started that stuff, this guy's pretty forward thinking. Pretty great. I'm asking, wait, man, can I be your stereotypical victim? Yeah, no, but that's not the point. Lock them all up. That was that was the thing about those movies. So he's the Black Sandra Locke, absolutely. Yeah, he plays his partner Horace. He gives him the pet dog in the end. Sudden Impact, you're going to talk about a Me Too movie. Probably the first Me Too fantasy film. Well, maybe I Spit on Your Grave. Right? I think I Spit on Your Grave probably is really the first one. And, that really delved deep. But Sudden Impact was the one that made the most impact. I don't know how we got on this side topic, but I always love the opinions of people about movies that they haven't watched all the way through.
What he would do with the filibuster. What are the American people to make of this?
Let me guess. He's using a strategy that you've advocated towards North Korea and other groups, that you don't tell them, you don't show them your cards, you talk from a position of strength, you threaten them with fire and fury, the worst thing you've ever done, even if you hope you never have to do it and you don't even really intend to do it. So he's just using a strategy like that, right?
Well, he's going to obviously pack the court. Nobody even thought this was possible, I guess.
Why would he obviously do that?
FDR tried it. He didn't make it, but they're going to end the filibuster. They're going to use their nuclear, as the expression used, the nuclear option. Of course, Harry Reid did that, and that's why I'm going to end up with 300 judges by the end of my first term, which is shocking. That's a record, and 3 Supreme Court judges. But Harry Reid, what he did was, I always say thank you, Harry Reid. But
yeah, that's what you always say.
They're going to do that. It's not Biden so much.
They're going to do that. Are they both speaking through like a helium modifier?
You know, the radical left, and they're going to pack the Supreme Court. I don't even know how many judges you're talking about. It could be
talking about 13. They're talking about 13 circuits. That's the argument, that there can be a judge for every circuit. Therefore, there would be 13 total. So they would add 4.
much more than the 16.
Yeah, the 16, sure.
They're going to add new states so that.
Yeah, this is the part that they're talking about. Okay, so they're using this whole pack the court thing is to draw attention to this, that the addition of Puerto Rico as a state is a nightmare for Republicans. And that's why Trump just dumped a bunch of money on them. We've talked about this a couple times, but that's what this is.
They'll end up in, picking up 2 senators from every state they add. They can add more than 2, by the way. They talk.
Yeah.
But they can add much more.
Yeah, which ones? Papua New Guinea? Are we going to invade Guam? Are we going to or invade? I don't know, Peter Thiel's island paradise, old oil rig in the middle of the ocean that he's declared a sovereign country? Do we invade that? Keep it? Add 2 senators? They have to be out there with a fishing pole all the time. Just 2 senators freezing their ass off. No representatives because between the 2 of them they can't earn one. Boy, I hate being a Democrat, but look at that Marlin.
And they're going to really stack the system. And that's why this is the most important election we've ever had, Mark.
Yes, he is very congested, and it does seem like he's talking through his nose. I have not met Clint Eastwood, no.
Question.
I've been in the same room with him. I did get to meet Paul Newman and talk to him, though, before he passed, which I would consider, similar era, and that was lovely. He's an amazing man. He was.
Yeah, no, I agree completely because...
you think they sped up the whole thing, and that's why it's higher pitched, because he was dragging ass and they needed to fit it?
What the Democrat Party wants to do is take over the government and take over.
Yeah, it's almost like they want to get control of the government by being elected to office. Who would have thought it a democracy?
The Constitution, so there's never competition to defeat them, just like California. And
they're going to have a hard time beating us, Mark. They're going to have a hard time beating us.
Oh, are they?
Again, I don't know if you heard me before we got cut off, but the fact is that we have tremendous enthusiasm on the side.
Enthusiasms. I swallowed a bug. Enthusiasms.
Tremendous.
Mm-hmm.
Far more than we had then. And the real polls are...
Don't forget the tractors.
We're leading all over the place. The real polls, not the fake polls put out by the newspapers, put out by the media.
Yeah, those are awful.
I don't even look at these polls. No, I tell everybody else.
I don't watch those polls. They're very depressing. I don't watch them. You know what I mean? I hate those. I won't even look on Tinder anymore. I look at all the swipe lefts I get. It's depressing.
Tell me if you agree with me. You need to bring 5 or 10 people to the poll. You need to be Paul Revere. You need to make sure that you don't just vote, but that you're in charge of 5 or 10 people. You agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. Gangbusters. We need to vote harvest, but the human trafficking version. That's what I would do. If you could just coyote your way to the vote, whether they're registered or not. Bring your children, bring your dog. I got my dog right here, mate.
I do, because they cheat. And you look at what's going on with the ballots. Today, I don't know if you saw in Ohio, great state. We're leading by a lot in Ohio. But 50,000 ballots. 50,000. You know what that is? I mean, you could win by 50,000. That's a lot. 50,000 ballots were something happened, manipulated, let's call it. 50,000. They're finding ballots in garbage cans with the Trump name on it. Military ballots. They find ballots. They found a whole blank.
All right, God damn it. Can we just military, Trump, ballots, garbage can. Let's see. Let's take a source that maybe he knows. Here, let's just go to Reuters. There you go. This is a Reuters fact check. That's weird. Inaccurate details about discarded military ballots found in Pennsylvania. On September 24th, a federal prosecutor in Pennsylvania announced an inquiry into a small number of military ballots that had been allegedly discarded, some of which were cast for some some of which were cast for President Donald Trump. That's weird.
I think that deserves a hype train.
Post on social media and Trump himself have referred to the incident inaccurately. That's very sweet. That's a sweet way of putting it. The check aims to provide context and clarifications in a matter that is still under investigation. A post shared over 700 times on Facebook here reads, well, gee, I can't imagine who gave it such a boost. The FBI just released a statement that multiple military mail-in ballots were found and thrown in a ditch in Pennsylvania. All of them were for President Trump. This is a true election interference and Democrats are okay with it, in all caps. The president has also referred to this incident while trying to reinforce his narrative that mail-in voting will increase voter fraud. Mail-in voting has been tried and tested, blah, blah, blah. He said, hey, they found ballots in a waste paper basket 3 days ago, and they all had the name military ballots. There were military. They all had the name Trump on them, which I presume is an attempt at English. Hey, they found ballots in a waste paper basket 3 days ago, and they all had the name military ballots. There were military. They all had the name Trump on them. In a highly unusual public statement, the U.S. Attorney for the Middle District of Pennsylvania, David Fried, said his office and the FBI were probing incidents that occurred in Luzerne County, Pennsylvania, regarding the 9 recovered military ballots that had been improperly opened by election staff and discarded. David Fried's letter is visible here, said investors recovered a number of documents relating to military ballots that had been improperly opened by election staff. Among these documents were 9 ballots that were discarded, 7 of which had been cast, 7 of which, so 2 of them, the specific candidate on the remaining 2 ballots is unknown as they were previously recovered by election staff, reinserted into what appears to be their proper envelopes and resealed. So they may have been Trump votes or someone else, but so 2 of the 9 went on their merry way, 7 were discarded. Fried later said the majority of the recovered materials were found in an outside dumpster. In a statement with the media, the Luzerne County, the whole county, said the ballots were incorrectly discarded into the office trash by a temporary seasonal independent contractor. The contractor, who had started working at the Elections Board on September 14th, 2 days prior to the incident was discovered, was removed from service. The U.S. Department of Justice initially issued a statement on September 24th that said all 9 ballots were cast for Trump, but later corrected this information into a revised statement the same day here. Some former Justice Department officials criticized Fried's statement, saying there was no legitimate reason to disclose the ballots were marked for Trump. This is both bizarre and disturbing. U.S. Attorney's Office don't issue reports on pending investigations, certainly not reports so blatantly contrived to provide political ballots for a sitting president's campaign narrative. Verdict. Partly false. 7 of the 9 military ballots had been found discarded in Pennsylvania, had been cast for Trump. The other 2 ballots are unknown. The FBI and the Pennsylvania authorities are investigating the incident. The article is produced by... Right, okay. So 7 of 9. I'm just going to leave that there. Is it more Q code? Dude, it was totally a 7 of 9 moment. Do we have to go watch all of Star Trek Next Generation?
Of ballots in a river, in a stream.
In a river, in a stream. Okay, Kayleigh McEnany has since had, like, her ass handed to her in no uncertain terms by a reporter going, where's the river? It was a hashtag for days. This was days ago. This was before he even got sick, when she'd lied and said, that the president meant ditch. He was, it's not important. The important thing is all these people are, getting their stuff thrown out. What he meant was mail in a ditch, river, Trump. Let's just put this out. So, let's see. Mail dump in a ditch, pushed by, yeah, okay. So this is the Independent saying this. I mean, basically the news story is the exact same thing in all of these. But let's see if it opens up. Where are you? There it is. Mail dumped in ditch, pushed by White House as evidence of voter fraud. Ahem. This interview we are listening to is from last night. There were no Wisconsin absentee ballots among several trays of mail found discarded in a ditch, not a river, not a stream, in a ditch in Wisconsin. An incident that Donald Trump previously touted as evidence of pitfalls of mail-in voting. Last week, 3 trays of mail were found in a ditch in Greenville, Wisconsin. The Outagamie County Sheriff's Office reported at the time that there were several absentee ballots among the discarded mail. A statement issued by the Wisconsin Elections Commission now casts doubt on that initial report. Megan Wolf, the director of the Wisconsin Election Commission, said that no Wisconsin ballots were found in the scrapped mail. Ms. Wolf was speaking specifically about Wisconsin ballots in her statement. She said she did not know if ballots from other states were found. U.S. Postal Service is investigating the incident. There's fraud. They found them in creeks. They found some that just happened to have the name Trump the other day in a waste paper basket. So there she is. And then White House, this was the whole White House can't identify mystery river where Trump claims ballots were dumped. Well, it turns out they weren't even dumped at all. So, yeah. All right. Yeah, may I? Then yeah, not a puddle, not a creek, not a divot. Not at all. Not at all.
But it's disgraceful. And then you look at some of the races.
It is disgraceful to lie so stupidly about something.
Recently. Even look at the Iowa race in the primary, the Democrat primary. Who won that race? They still don't know.
Pete Buttigieg.
And that's small time compared to what we're talking about. You know, we're talking about a nation. No, it's
Who won the Iowa Dem primary 2020? Let's see. Go with Politico. There we go. This is what he's talking about. Buttigieg has a razor-thin delegate lead, but the precise totals are in doubt. You know why? Because these are caucuses. Gee, I wonder who had a shot here at all. Yeah. Pete Buttigieg won by a razor-thin margin. It was a fight back and forth. These are caucuses. Once people leave somebody and they know they're not going to win, they can jump to somebody else's. It's ridiculous. And Mayor Pete was awesome on Fox. This is silly. He's mad. Okay, so you know why Trump is pissed about the Iowa caucuses and why he keeps bringing it up? Because he's convinced that if Bernie had won it, that would have cemented him in the lead, and he wouldn't be having to campaign against Joe Biden right now. He could have been run against Sanders and Warren as a ticket and been all happy as a snug bug in a rug. That's why. That's why he's angry about this. Because he can't fight Pete Buttigieg winning it. That's what this has to do. That's why he's. That's it. It's not even the elections, because this was a caucus. This isn't even. That wasn't a mail-in situation. Right.
It's a very serious threat. We're watching it very closely. And the good news is we're winning a lot of cases. We just won a big one today.
No, you didn't.
We're winning a lot of cases.
No, they lost.
About where they want to have the ballots in by a certain time, and then they don't have to count them until 2 weeks after the elections.
No. They have, in a lot of places, as long as you mail it on election day, it gets counted in the ultimate total. A lot of times those ballots, because they're later, aren't part of the defining aspect. But if there are enough ballots left out because people mailing it on election day, which most people aren't, or places don't start counting their mail-in ballots until election day, which takes a little time, you have 3 to 7 days afterwards for however long the mail takes to carry. What he's pissed about is, because they're giving him 10 days, that means that if he gets DeJoy to hamstring the mail process, people's votes will still count. That's what he's pissed about.
Crazy.
That means so the whole country is going to have to wait for one state to let us know who won the election, right?
No. Statistically, no.
But we're winning those cases. We just won one today.
And just because
they lost yesterday,
you want to nominate somebody to the Supreme Court and did, which is your constitutional duty,
right.
and the
Yeah, what Merrick Garland who?
Senate, which is Republican, chooses to vote on it. Do you know there's never been a president in American history, not one, who hasn't done exactly what you did.
Sure.
And they turn it around and make it like you're doing something exceptional.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
Oh, it's unbelievable. Yeah, it's not about what the president did as far as nominating someone. Of course he's going to nominate someone. The Senate shouldn't take it up.
No, think of it. I'm elected to be president. In fact, Justice Ginsburg
God, he meant to say for 4 years, not 3. That's the
years ago, when she was in
said she was against court packing. That's not the conversation.
sort of the same position but opposite party. She said, no, the president is elected for 4 years, not for 3 years. And it's as simple as that. And we have a lot of time. I mean, we should do it quickly and should be done before the election. But
because you're going to need her?
You know, we have a lot of time after the election, too. But I don't want to even suggest that because I don't want to give the Republicans any ideas to slow it down.
No, don't give them any ideas. Don't say anything like the deal's off with the stimulus, stuff like that, and then say it's on 2 days later for no reason.
You made a lot of decisions. You're always...
Yeah, totally. He's very decisive. We'll see what happens.
Attacked. But you made a lot of decisions. You were attacked from the Middle East. They told you, don't recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. Don't move the embassy there. Don't recognize sovereignty over the Golan Heights. Don't do that.
Yeah, because you're playing a part in apartheid.
Just don't do that. Don't repeal the Iran deal. And now peace is breaking out as a result of the Trump.
Peace is breaking out. Yeah, finally, Bahrain and Israel and the UAE have declared a ceasefire. Thank God.
The Trump doctrine. You've been nominated.
The Trump doctrine. What's the Trump doctrine? Give the UAE and Bahrain between the split of $50 billion in military equipment, including F-35s, to pay them to have commercial flights to and from Israel, at least through the election. They could pull it back in the spring after it's all over. But give us this win. We'll throw you a bunch of military stuff. The next president, even if I lose, will have to honor it. But you just do this little dog and pony show for me, and then you can use those weapons however you see fit. Declare war on Israel. We'll blame it on the other
Nobel
side.
Peace Prize. And they still attack you in the media in the Democrat Party. You got to wonder, don't you?
No, it's pretty clear. Anybody who's paying attention knows that you're bribing them with military weapons that will eventually, more than likely, be trained on our own soldiers.
Well, I was nominated for, I guess, 3 times now, and
oh yeah, by the same dude.
The media doesn't even mention that when Obama.
Trump was nominated by the same Norwegian right-wing asshole for a Nobel Peace Prize multiple times. There, I mentioned it.
Got nominated. It was the biggest story. I remember it took over the world.
No, he didn't. It wasn't that he got nominated. It's that he got it. They gave it to him.
Nobody knew what he did, including him. He had no idea what he did to get nominated. It was at the beginning, and should have never.
It was for his historic win and his bringing the country together to create a situation where we had the first black president. From a community organizer to the people's house, and the example that it set in both politics and peace.
Nominated, but we're going to have peace in the Middle East without blood all over the sand, and I did it.
Oh, we're back to blood all over the sand? Jesus Christ. Really? Really? Ugh,
A
God.
seasonal few. A lot of that sand is going to be loaded up with peace. The sand was loaded up with blood.
The opposite way. And you have to see, I have countries lined up that want to get into the deal now.
Totally. They're totally lined up, bruh. They can't wait to get in here. It's like a club, man, but you make them stand outside so people think the place is bumping. Of course, when they get inside, it's empty, but whatever.
But it's a great thing to see. And it's not only, it's not costing us anything.
No.
I just did it the reverse of what
I just sold them billions of dollars worth of weapons.
People did. And then they used to criticize me. Now they're all saying, well, this is really surprising. Remember Kerry?
No.
Got up and said, it will never happen, doing it the way I'm doing it. It will never happen. He had no clue.
Well, he was basically saying you don't bribe Middle Eastern countries with weapons to create fake peace deals with Israel.
$150 billion to Iran and $1.8 billion in cash, and he never
It was their money.
left the table.
It was frozen assets that we were paying interest on.
Never stood up in indignation because they ripped us off so badly.
Wait, the Iranians? Did we have a trade deficit with Iran?
But now Iran, I'll tell you what, if I win, if and when, hopefully when, but if I win, they'll come to the table and they'll agree to everything because...
No, they won't.
If you look at terror right now, they're not, Iran is doing very, very poorly because of sanctions that I put on. And they don't want to...
No, they're not. The entire Middle East is quiet because of COVID.
They don't have the money to give to the terrorist organization.
You're taking credit for the effect of a disease on the entire world.
Now, I say that very mildly because, it's easy to create problems. But look at what's happened over the last 2 years. Look at what's happened with North Korea. We were supposed to be in a war with North Korea immediately.
Yeah, they now have a intercontinental ballistic missile and a nuclear sub.
After I took office. Obama expected to be. What's happened? Nothing.
No, they've just been able to build up and build up and build up.
Sanctions are on. The relationship's fine. No war. And that's a nuclear war where millions of people would be killed. Millions.
You sound like you're missing out.
Nothing's happened. I have a good relationship.
With the Taliban?
It's crazy. Today if you have a good relationship with another country, people say...
Like the Taliban?
Isn't that terrible? No. It's
pretty terrible. It's pretty terrible that you get endorsed by the Taliban.
Good thing, not a bad
thing. What we would call in the biz, off message.
At the same time, I built a military. We have the best...
With taxpayer dollars.
Equipment with the envy of the world. Russia...
Yeah, all the murderous dictatorships wish they had all the shit we could bomb people to death with. I mean, our schools are falling apart. But...
China, they all would love to have the stuff we have. We have the greatest equipment ever built, ever in history.
Mm-hmm.
Ever in history. Hopefully we don't have to use it.
Well, I don't know that Levin's with you on that one.
Question. Energy independent. This country's been trying to be energy independent for half a century. You have put in policies in place with fracking and so forth. Fuel prices are very, very low.
Right.
Yeah, because nobody's driving anywhere.
Slash taxes, and you were focused on the middle class, working people more than anybody else.
No, their tax breaks were temporary. Corporate ones and for the 1% as far as personal wealth were permanent.
Right.
Joe Biden...
No, it's not right. It's not right.
Says he's going to reverse all this.
Yeah.
So what happens when he reverses all this? Everything goes in the opposite direction, right?
Uh-oh. Wait a minute. Let's see. During the pandemic, the top 100 billionaires have made $3 billion in profits each, if you divide it equally, which it isn't. But let's just say for equal, and you reverse that, what if the people at the bottom started seeing a rise in their profits at the same clip? If they saw a 20 to 50% rise in their net worth? That's a pretty good opposite.
Well, you'll get rid of your cars, you'll get rid of your television sets, you'll get rid of your air conditioners, you'll have rolling blackouts or brownouts, if you're lucky, brownouts. You'll get rid of everything, and, we have...
You'll get rid of it, or because you won't need it anymore because it'll be all sunshine and rainbows and candy bars? What's happening?
The greatest. Right now we're energy independent. We don't have to be in the Middle East except we'll protect Israel. We'll protect some of the people that we protect. But we don't have to be in the Middle East anymore. We don't need their oil. We have more.
Yeah, we've been independent of Middle East oil since the Obama administration.
Than they do. We're energy independent now for the first time. And you're right. Look at the gasoline prices at $2 and less. Nobody thought...
$3.50 and less
was possible. That's like a tax cut. But I gave the biggest tax cut in history. He wants to end it. That means that every family is going to have to pay $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 a year more.
No, he has his own tax plan. They will end your tax plan and replace it with a more equitable tax policy.
You include energy.
Uh-oh. It was last night.
That means that...
That wasn't good.
$4,000 a year more. If you include energy in that means that every family...
Okay, so late at nights when it gets bad. That's when he was doing this interview. He was doing it at night. Yeah.
We'll have to pay $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a year more if you include energy, because you won't be able to buy $2 fuel anymore for your car.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's no more $2. You could forget about
Where's my $2?
that. We have this thing rolling so well, and it was perfect until
China. I mean, man, you know, I mean, it would be terrible. Let's see. I mean, it was perfect. Everything was perfect. And then it's official. Recession began in February, ending longest U.S. expansion ever. I mean, the U.S. economy entered a recession in February, a group of economists declared Monday, ending the longest expansion on record just as the novel coronavirus began swiftly spreading across the country. The economist said employment peaked in February and fell sharply afterwards, marking the beginning of a downturn as cases of COVID-19 metastasized through the U.S., soon killing thousands, shutting down millions of businesses, and sparking stay-at-home orders for much of the nation's population by mid-March. What a difference a pandemic can make. What a dick. Who writes that line? Just weeks earlier in February, the jobless rate stood at 3.5%, the lowest rate in 50 years, and employers in February had added 273,000 workers. The subsequent job losses, tens of millions of new unemployed Americans from March to May, were the steepest ever seen in the U.S. I wonder why he never brags about that. These are the biggest job losses. No one even thought this was possible. The economists who declared the recession start make up a committee within the National Bureau of Economic Research, a trade group that determines when recessions begin and end. It defines a recession as a decline in economic activity that lasts more than a few months. Well, this certainly counts. The committee noted, though, that in this case, the depth of the downturn since February had led it to determine that a recession had begun. The unprecedented magnitude of the decline in employment and production and its broad reach across the entire economy warrants the designation of this episode as a recession, even if it turns out to be briefer than earlier contractions. The unemployment rate is officially at 13.3, down from 14.7 in April. Both figures are higher than in any other downturn since World War II. Interesting that he does, when he says that thing about mobilizations, the biggest mobilization since World War II is World War II. Also the biggest downturn in and job loss since World War II. A broader measure of the underemployment that includes some of the unemployed who have given up looking and those who have reduced part-time status is 21.2%. I'll show them that real quick. Let's see. Fed cut rates for third time. This is a CNN article, but this is October of last year from CNN Business. Let's look. Can we talk about this whole we built the greatest thing ever? And then if we built the greatest thing ever and it was so strong, why did they have to cut their lending rates for the third time in a year in October of last year? The Federal Reserve cut the interest rates for the third time this year as the U.S. economy continued slowing amid ongoing trade disputes and weak global growth. Hey, thanks, Hero Dark One. Thanks for dropping by. Powell said the current level is likely to remain appropriate given that a strong labor market and inflation growing around 2%. Inflation was growing at 2%, equal to or greater than the growth of the economy. Rate cuts during an economic expansion aren't common, but they aren't unprecedented either. The Fed similarly made what former Chairman Alan Greenspan called insurance cuts in 1995, 1998. The Fed quickly went back to the rate hike after those moves because they turned out to be a mistake. Yet despite the fact that there is little wiggle room left to cut rates further, oh yeah? Wait till January. should the economy suddenly start shrinking. Gee, I wonder what could cause that. Powell said he doesn't believe the Fed is about to start raising rates anytime soon. We're at 0.25% right now. Are you nuts? A broader measure of underemployment that includes some of the unemployed who have given up looking and those who have reduced to part-time status is 21.2%. But tell us again how perfect it was. We built it up. It was so good.
China came along with
It was so good, and then China came along.
plague. But now it's getting great again.
It is. It's so great. We're going to get back to 2% growth in inflation. Actually,
Really great. We're going to have one of the best years we've ever had next year.
no, we're not. We got to patch these holes, man. This thing's not going to be a speedboat again for a while. It'll stay seaworthy, and there's growth that can be made because the difference in this economic downturn is not directly related. The gigantic aspect of this and the fact that we could funnel money into it gave the Fed an excuse to pour money into the system. That's what makes it different from the Great Recession or the Great Depression, which were based on the financial sector. So 2008 crash was actually based on activities within the banks and the monetary system. This was the economic impact of COVID is an ancillary effect, like being hit by an asteroid or a supervolcano or swarms of murder hornets killing everybody in all the plains states, stuff like that. That's not an economic problem. You wouldn't blame the long-term interest rate or the 10-year bond yield for that. You would, that was this. The economic impact is an ancillary effect from that thing. So you fix that thing, and like Biden's been saying, and you will start to right the economy because it will go back. It's already in process. It will pick up where it left off. Now, there's a lot of damage done by this, though, and you have to, you're going to have to fix that damage. How will the stock market react to a Biden win? It's been tipping up slowly because of him. You could argue that the growth in the last little bit aligns with the sureness of Biden's win.
But he wants to raise everybody's taxes.
No, he doesn't. You have to be over 400,000. It's
amazing.
Just read his website. Go to joebiden.com and read Joe's vision and find the tax policy.
Mark, because
read it. Look at it. Don't talk about it unless you've looked at it. If you look at it, then you go, okay, I see what it is.
Yeah, but talks about it, but he's against the Second Amendment. It's not even him.
He's not. Okay, and again, he's against the Second Amendment. Okay, I know that Trump understands that the Second Amendment has something to do with guns and being able to have a gun. Just had a show North PA voters who were Dem voters that voted for Trump in 2016. They're still gearing up to vote Trump, but they feel the Dems have failed them. It worries me. What do you think? I don't know that they're going to be. I'm not that concerned about those kind of anecdotal groups about that stuff, and I don't necessarily believe them.
It's just people.
I think these are people who, call themselves Dems, whatever.
The Second Amendment's going to be obliterated. Totally.
Why? Why would we totally obliterate the Second Amendment when we really just want an assault weapons ban? How in the world does that end up being a totally obliterated Second Amendment? And why, dear leader, do you want the? Sorry, I think his hair fell off and it's going to roll through the studio. Work? Oh, it didn't work. Come on, you. There you go. It almost worked. Hold on. Why is this guy not working today, though? Yeah, that's one of the things that isn't loading. Something's going on. I don't know why. All right.
Obliterated. And so many other things. When he gets elected on the basis there will be no fracking, and the following day after they get elected, they change it saying there will be fracking.
He didn't get elected he didn't win the primary by being against fracking. Everybody is against fracking long term. You want to transition away from fossil fuels to renewables over the course of the next half century for the benefit of the environment, both in the in the macro and the micro, because of the clean water and clean air, but also because of the impact on the environment. And moving from coal and oil to natural gas, even through fracking, is a mitigatory step in the direction you want to go. They're not going to ban fracking. They never insisted they were going to ban fracking. That's not the point. You might limit new leases and keep it isolated to places and just use what we got and then transfer, our energy needs to more renewables over that period instead of focusing entirely on fracking and expanding leases and allowing people to frack on federal lands and in parks and all that kind of stuff and triggering a super volcano in Yosemite like this asshole wants to do. Yeah, Obama. That's like saying Obama ran on clean coal. Exactly.
He says it very modestly because they'll never allow it to happen.
Very modestly.
They'll never allow fracking to happen.
No, I mean, it'll just stop on day one.
That means you lose Pennsylvania, you lose everything. But if I did that, could you imagine if I ran on the basis of no fracking, then all of a sudden one day you say, all right, fracking. They don't even question him on this stuff. They don't even question him.
Because that's in your head. What will happen to the coal industry under a Biden administration? Well, I mean, the goal has always been to transition people. Did you hear the dude, one of the big Trump donors in Virginia? Let me see if I can find Trump supporting coal, millionaire has black lung. Let's see. Yeah, here it is. So this is this dude who voted for Trump, who's a big, Trumpster. Coal Baron Murray seeks U.S. benefits to treat his black lung disease. This dude, who's, been pushing Trump and his clean coal business and all that kind of stuff. U.S. coal baron Robert Murray, whose company Murray Energy filed for bankruptcy last year under the Trump administration, even though they've basically been turned loose. Weird. Has applied for federal benefits to treat his black lung disease after opposing more stringent coal dust regulations for years, according to West Virginia Public Radio. Murray, an ally of President Donald Trump, filed a claim with the Department of Labor seeking access to federal benefits to treat his disease, which is caused by prolonged exposure to coal dust. News outlet said Murray wrote in his filing for benefits from the fund that he is heavily dependent on an oxygen tank and is near death. Murray said he is entitled to benefits after working underground in underground mines for 63 years. After bankruptcy, Murray's Energy. Yeah, so basically, Murray's thing was, Murray's company was one of the several coal companies that provided collateral to self-insure their obligations to employees diagnosed with black lung disease. So instead of letting the government setting a rule, West Virginia and Kentucky and Virginia set these rules for these assholes that, okay, you guys put a fund together, like an insurance fund, to save up some money, like a retirement plan for black lung, and and we won't make a law that forces you to do it. You just do it voluntarily, and we'll do it. In 2015, the Department of Labor had recommended revoking its authority to self-insure due to its deteriorating finances, though it did not follow through. So they didn't make them do it. They didn't revoke the self-financing thing. They kept the program in place. And because even though they were losing money, it was still flush relatively. Then they declared bankruptcy. American Consolidated Natural Resources, Murray Energy's new name, after emerging from bankruptcy, is not responsible for old claims, shifting its $74.4 million liability to the federal government's Black Lung Disability Trust Fund. So not only did he take the payments that they were supposed to make for black lung amongst their employees and declare bankruptcy and jettison it, now that $74 million is on the taxpayer. So he made a mess, and you're cleaning it up. I mean, honestly, could there be a more obvious ally of Donald Trump? Tell me about, go on about clean coal while you're at it.
Because the press is very corrupt in our country. It's extremely corrupt.
Is it as corrupt as the coal industry?
You know, you raise a very important.
Yeah, good point, Emo Vulcan. Trump just banned offshore drilling on the around the Gulf states, on the East Coast and inside the Gulf, because of losing Florida because of tourism, and South Carolina and North Carolina and all those states. He didn't recognize that it ruins their beaches and endangers the lives of their people and their fish hatcheries and all that kind of stuff. Same thing with the Gulf. He rebanned it after he unbanned it.
Point, and I want to circle back briefly on the Supreme Court, the Senate, the filibuster, the
yeah, because you're losing people. Nobody knows what the hell you're talking
Electoral College and so forth. How do you?
Yeah, the whole thing. Just go for it. How do you deal with the fact that Puerto Rico might have 2 senators?
Remain silent on things when you're going to put your hand on the Bible and swear to uphold the Constitution of the United States, and you won't tell the American people where you stand. We know where you stand. You're against all this stuff. And
yeah, you're against Puerto Rico. Say it. Say, are you against Puerto Rican statehood? Why is no one going to Trump? Honest to God, like the vote packing thing, it's a suggestion of other people. I'm not answering that question. That's something Congress is in charge of. It's not part of my platform. You're letting other people dictate questions to me. Not going to do it. Not chasing your dog, the stick you're throwing for a different dog. But in this circumstance, Biden has come out saying he's for Puerto Rican statehood. So why is Trump dodging the question, or no one asking him, are you for or against Puerto Rican statehood? Say it.
Yet he gets away with it. I'm going to tell you something, Mr. President. Look,
whatever your name is.
This commission,
Mr. Bedelia, what?
On the presidential debates,
right?
They hire moderators.
Oh, Mr. Debates is what he was going to say.
That are extremely hostile to you, and so.
Oh, Chris Wallace, so hostile.
Looked at this. The co-chair gave $9,000 to the Democrats. Another co-chair gave.
It's a bipartisan group. They have Democrats and Republicans together. There are co-chairs on that commission that gave money to Trump and Republicans and Mitch McConnell. It's a bipartisan group.
$5,000 to a Democrat. Jane Harmon's on the board of directors, old Democrat.
Didn't Puerto Rico endorse Trump? Puerto Rico doesn't endorse a candidate.
She gave $30,000 to the Democrats. You got another guy, another Democrat, who said about you, there's a great deal of fear and a great deal of anxiety in the country about you. You got an.
Yeah, and? Are you disagreeing with him?
Another one on their board that says you're disqualified. You should be disqualified as commander-in-chief. Then you have another guy who's.
Okay, that makes sense.
Says you're ill-equipped to be president. He's a former Obama flunky. Then you have Olympia Snowe, who's sort of a left-wing Democrat, and she says you're hurting our brand. How in the hell can they set up?
Really? She's a left-wing Democrat, and her response was, Trump is hurting the Republican brand? So what you said there was she's sort of a left-wing Democrat, meaning she's a Republican, but she's clearly a secret Democrat.
A commission like this.
Oh, the governor? Yes. Well, they just paid him a bunch of money, just dumped money there.
It's supposed to be objective and impartial. Clearly it's not. And then you're required to comply. They don't even contact your campaign to discuss what they want to do.
Well, I know all about.
They contact both. They are required. They spoke to both campaigns. It's not their fault. The campaign, first of all, that the heads of Trump's campaign right now, one of them has COVID and has to isolate, and the other one was, guest starred in an episode of Cops a couple of weeks ago.
That, and if you look at it,
who are they supposed to call?
If you remember last time against Crooked Hillary, I had a debate where they oscillated my mic, and they were forced.
Oh, they oscillated it. It was oscillated? He means modulated. And they didn't modulate the mic. The microphone going out to the public was louder. It was regular volume. He and Hillary were the same volume. In the arena, or wherever they were, he was talking louder, so they tried to even his volume and thereby made it lower when he leaned back and was talking standing up straight, because he kept talking into it. So they backed it off in the in-house monitors because he was going to feed back in the house.
To apologize legally. They were forced to apologize.
They weren't forced to apologize legally.
They would turn my
Did you sue them? Was there a lawsuit? An anti-modulation lawsuit?
down, up and down whenever I'd look at her. And we caught them. And they actually apologized.
Yeah, they were trying to bring it up when you would speak normally and bring it down when you would make a lot of noise, and you were sniffing all over the place.
I don't know if you remember.
It was literally, they were trying, it was like a piercing noise.
But it's an important factor. No, it's a Clinton, Obama group of people. And, you have the one guy, the chairman, who's basically a never-Trumper. But now you put
So you mean a Republican?
Chris Wallace. He was terrible the other night. I thought Chris Wallace was a disgrace the other night.
Oh, it's terrible. You would think that.
Because we had Biden. He was on the run when I.
Oh, totally. You totally had him on the ropes, bro. Like, I honestly don't know how he even stood there, was able to take it, winning so horribly.
Talked to him about the Russian. Why did you get $3.5 million from the head of Russia, from Musk?
From who?
Yeah, it was, the mayor of Musk's wife.
You got there eventually. He didn't. The company did. End of story.
He was totally on the run. And then what about the $1 billion?
He was on the run.
You're not going to do it unless you get rid of the prosecutor.
Yeah, that was the policy of the entire U.S. government and the World Trade Organization. Honest to God. So the bank, this is like saying the bank would like you to deposit your money into the bank, and when you come in, they would appreciate it if you would fill out a deposit slip when you withdraw, or when you make a deposit, or write a check when you deposit it, or use your card and enter in your PIN number. And they would prefer if you did that when you came in. And Biden goes in, does that, and the card's being funky, and he's like, look, I'm moving to another bank if you guys don't fix this. And they fixed it. And he got his money out, whatever. And Trump is calling that a bank robbery.
And Chris Wallace kept interjecting, saying, you can't say that. You can't do this. Chris Wallace was terrible the other night. He will never be Mike. That's the only thing I can say about Chris. He'll never be Mike, and I say it all the time.
Yeah, and nobody cares.
He was bad. And now they have a never-Trumper. I didn't know
You'll never be Fred. How about that? You haven't built anything since your dad died. You're a labeling organization.
About this guy from C-SPAN, but it turns out that he's a never-Trumper. So I don't care.
Yeah, I like how oscillate is not even close to being the correct word. Yeah, it's just
about that, because I've had Martha Raddatz. I've had them all.
Martha. Oh, Martha.
And I've always wanted.
He's had her? What? Somebody get page 6 on the line.
The debates. I think we won the debate the other night. But
well, of course you think that.
He kept saying false things, lying about.
Oh, terrible.
Soldiers and graves, lying, a made-up story. They made up the story. They'll make up a story and put it out like it's real. So if you don't interrupt.
Well, why aren't the people who were present there actually there? Specifically, John Kelly. Why hasn't he come out and said that's garbage? Thanks for the gifted subs, Bronwyn. Appreciate that. Look at that. Yay! Anybody feel like cheering? I'm just saying. We've been in for a little while. This is the second show of the day. We're just hanging out. Welcome to my Saturday night.
I mean, then people assume you have to sort of stick up for yourself. But
you have to. That's leadership. You have to sort of stick up for yourself. I mean, honestly, it's like the man prints accessories every time he speaks.
They are a bad.
I want one of those. Some sort of like a picture of a leopard seal eating a dolphin, flipping it up and blood spraying out, and it's like you have to sort of stick up for yourself. Something you could put on an office door.
For people. And this debate commission, it sounds so good, the Presidential Commission on Debates.
Yeah, it's an organization that's maintained its function for quite a long time.
So wonderful. No, in my opinion, it's a crooked deal. But you.
Okay, why? Because you suck at debates?
Look at the guy they're giving me for the next debate. He's a never-Trumper.
Steve Scully. Mr. President.
Terrible. You mean he's a Republican?
That guy always seemed nice to me. I didn't know he was a never.
Huh? Oh, thanks, babe. Now I'm going to be up all night. Thanks to Guayaki Organic Yerba Mate, which you barely can see because the label has a lot of green in it. Thanks, babe. Love you. How's it going? All right. Cool. Love you. All's well. We're not doing puppet show right now, but it might happen again. Not tonight. I'm almost done with this thing. Got maybe 6 more minutes. Means 20. Yeah. So, love you.
I don't know him. I don't know if I ever met him, but he's a C-SPAN guy. But he's a
Yeah. Oh, not a C-SPAN guy. Ugh.
never Trumper, and you can't put a never Trumper on.
You can't do that. You can't put a. Do you think Chris Wallace qualifies as a never Biden in a lot of ways as a Republican? All right.
Chris Wallace is essentially an anti-Trump guy, but Fox is a
Essentially, it seems like everybody you meet.
different book.
Babe, Emo Vulcan says, "Hi, Summer. Thank you for letting us borrow Hal." That's right.
Somebody.
Emo Vulcan in our chat room says, "Thank you for letting us borrow Hal." Yes. Well, you know, spending my Saturday night on here.
Tell me that.
Yeah, she feels like she's more borrowing, you know, me back. I feel like a ping pong ball. I'm like a cat toy. I'm just bouncing across the room getting scratched. Yeah, so I love you.
Were asking me about the difference between this and 4 years ago. One of the biggest differences in Fox is a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, totally. Fox has totally changed. It's weird. It's like they've spent time with you and actually decided they want you off their couch.
Than it used to be. Fox was great. Fox was great.
It was awesome. When they used to just let me say whatever I want, and Roger Ailes ran the place, and you could just sexually harass and assault women. Oh, that was sweet. Now, I mean, honestly, is it even Fox anymore?
Fox is no longer great.
No, they're not great. I ran on Make America Great Again, not Keep Fox Great. I should have run that way. Yeah.
I don't know. Something happened.
I don't know. This is all. I mean, dude, you want to get some wings? Like, it sounds like they're leaning up against a car outside a bar.
Oh, gee, I'm going to get a few calls about that, but you got to be able to speak your mind.
I'm going to get a few calls about that. That's why I want from Fox, because I work on there.
I say it on Fox. I don't care. What difference does it make at this point? But Fox is.
What do I care? I got OAN. I got Right Side. I got QAnon. The shit do I need Fox for anymore?
Whole different ball game.
Yeah, it's a whole different ball game. Like, you know, in the old days, Fox could, you know, punt a basket or, you know, or do a layup field goal, and now it's all gone to shit.
And, you know, they have Paul Ryan on the board, and that was a big difference.
That's what it is. Paul Ryan on the board. I mean, that libtard, you know what I mean?
I think that was a big difference.
Just a cucked out lib, probably Antifa. Once got me coffee. I don't even know the dude.
Paul Ryan. Once they put Paul Ryan on the board, I mean, Nancy Pelosi issues a subpoena a day. With Paul Ryan, when they had the majority, he wouldn't issue a subpoena. She gives them out like cookies.
Oh, because she's a grandmother. That's the whole thing? Is that what we're doing? We're saying we're using cookies because she's a woman? Is that what it is? What would Paul Ryan, at the height of handing out subpoenas, if he was really good at it? Bacon? What's he handing out? He's handing them out like Slim Jims at a barbecue.
With
I mean,
Paul
what the
Ryan,
hell?
Can I ask you about Nancy Pelosi?
Yeah, go ahead.
See, she's out there.
Yeah, ask that. Okay, ask about Nancy Pelosi, please.
I don't think she has it together. I'm just being perfectly honest with you. She's talking about the 25th Amendment. They don't even know.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the stuff she says.
I call it super duper.
The 20.
Use it on her. 25th.
Oh yeah, I mean.
I don't read, obviously.
Yeah, but please
use it on her.
Well, there needs.
Yeah, because she doesn't know what she's talking about.
Winston
I mean,
Churchill stood on the rooftops in London, very calm, making speeches. Winston Churchill.
To be something when you have the number 2 in line for the presidency, who appears to me to be quite unhinged, and she is a.
That's no way to talk about Mike Pence. I mean, does Mark Levin know how our government works? Or did he just take a dump on Mike Pence? Did he just Did he just say Mike Pence is a wacket?
Use it on her.
Well, there needs to be something when you have the number 2 in line for the presidency, who appears to me to be quite unhinged, and she is obsessed. She is so filled with hate.
Yeah, first of all, we just learned something. We learned that Mike Pence is out of his mind, and he's actually a woman. And had we known we had our first trans vice president this whole time, maybe it would have been something to celebrate.
You.
Yeah, but when you say number 2 in line for the presidency, like he's actually, yeah, well, number 1 line. You get what I'm saying.
And this
relax. I'm just making jokes.
25th Amendment thing is just another ruse, just like the impeachment thing was another.
Not a ruse. I'll tell you what it is, and I'll use a grandma analogy so it'll get you. It's a crochet needle poke. That's what it is. It's grandma going, eep. It's a little more than a finger, but not quite a knife.
Ruse. Mr. President,
Ruse.
Here's my question to you. She
Please ask a question.
Seems to be saying if you don't give hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars to these blue states to bail them out, to bail out their pensions, these mayors who don't take action against the rioters and bail them out, then the airlines can drop dead. The people on unemployment can drop dead.
It's almost like she's read The Art of the Deal and she's playing hardball. If only the president had read Art of the Deal, which was written by someone else, and perhaps used the techniques therein.
Businesses can drop.
I mean, honestly, we're listening to the losing party in a negotiation getting angry. That's what we're listening. I mean, honestly, knitting needles. Yes, thank you.
Is she holding a gun to the head of the country?
That's what she's doing. Yes, she's pass this bill or I'll shoot this dog. Nancy Pelosi is out of her mind and doesn't know what's going on, and she's losing it. But she's also cruel and conniving and very clever and murderous. And she's kind of a wuss. And, I mean, liberals are just so weak and they want to take away your Second Amendment. But she's holding a gun to the head of the... Oh, my God. The mixed analogies are such...
I think so, because I have to be honest with you. I want to give stimulus money. I believe in stimulus. I do.
Yeah, totally. Go for it. So this would be a good time to screw Mitch McConnell in these and literally... agree to the amount of money, and this is really what's happened, by the way. You hear the 1.8 trillion, where Nancy Pelosi's asking for 2.2 trillion. Mitch McConnell doesn't want any of this stuff to happen. Right now, you're about to listen to, and he's done it a couple times in other programs, you're about to listen to a man scuttle the Republicans' entire defense and their negotiating procedure right now.
It wasn't the people's fault, and I want to give stimulus, even if it helps some of the states, and they're badly run blue states, Democrat states. But
even if it helps, yeah, there he goes. All right, so your whole argument about, no, we're not doing it if it's got that money in for the blue states, which, by the way, they're trying to replace the lost tax revenue during the pandemic because people aren't working, and that's where the money would have come from, and they pay for all kinds of things, namely money. By the way, the irony, and this is part of what's going on that I don't think he can grasp, and I think Mitch McConnell's wavering on, that's driving him a little crazy, is that when you replenish the tax dollars that the states have that they would take in to pay for services and other stuff that they do, that gives them the ability, as they normalize things, to continue to bump things up the chain into the federal funds. If they don't have any, they can't give any to the federal system. Well, guess who benefits from that federal system? The red states.
But I actually, I'll give you
level 5 hype train.
A little difference. I want to give stimulus because,
Yeah, because we're 3 weeks away and people are pissed and you've got a disease and you're wavering and you've got Band-Aids on your hand and your face looks all weird and orange and you're bloated and dizzy and you couldn't even manage to squirt out a whole speech, and you've got a rally on Monday and a lot of people are going to show up and walk out in the middle because you're going to drag ass. But yeah.
A good thing and not a bad thing. And we get the money back anyway in one form or another.
But you don't want
to. Yeah, it's just it basically, aren't all stimulus packages just basically boomerangs?
Bail out these pension funds.
No, but I think it depends on which
Jennifer.
one you're talking about, why they were hurt, et cetera, et cetera. But
et cetera, et cetera.
I'm okay with stimulus. I'm on the side of stimulus all the way. But I will
all the way. That's your negotiation. This is how do you play poker? Well, basically, whatever cards they give me, I lay them down on the table and go, "What do you guys got? Tell me. If you don't tell me, I'm gonna, you know what? I'm all in. I believe those are good. You can see my cards right now. These kick ass. Why aren't the Democrats doing that? Oh, thank you. Yes, my tip jar overfloweth. Thank you so much. Very sweet. Push the button and make it work.
I'll tell you this,
Sometimes
on the
it takes a minute.
25th Amendment, I think they want to use it for Biden. That's why they're doing it. They want to put it in for Biden.
Totally. Yeah, they're gonna. It's their way to get Kamala in because they're gonna use it for Biden.
Well, that's interesting.
That's interesting. Unlike everything else you've said tonight.
And I think they want to use it so that Kamala can go over for Biden, because Biden's not there. Everybody knows that.
No, you seem to be fixated on that. Then, if everybody knows that, why is he beating you by 10 points? Why does everybody think he has, let's see. I have to bring this one up. I know I'm going to try not to make this too late a show for you guys, but I gotta. Hold on. Biden beats Trump in mental acuity poll. See if it... yeah, there we go. This is a little weird. This one kind of stood out that I thought was pretty fun. But we'll... this is from Newsweek. Fox News poll shows Americans saying Biden is more mentally sound than Trump to serve as president. Fox News poll. More Americans say former Vice President Joe Biden has the mental clarity to be president versus Donald Trump, according to the latest Fox News poll released Sunday. I love that one. Despite the Trump campaign and the president himself repeatedly questioning the mental acuity of Biden, a larger percentage of U.S. adults say they believe the Democratic presidential candidate has the traits best suited for the job. A slight majority of likely voters, 51%, told Fox News. These are people who, when Fox News called, took the call, believe Biden, 77, has the mental soundness to be president, compared to 47%. Who said the same about Trump, 74. These are people that when Fox called, "Hi, I'm with Fox News and I'm conducting a poll." The president has repeatedly boasted about acing a cognitive test. But, I mean, that's been one of my favorite ones. He's constantly running this thing. No, he's not all there. They've not run all there. And he stays in the basement even when he's campaigning. Tell me about him riding a bicycle.
He's batting at 50% if he's lucky.
Okay, if he's batting at 50%, understand this, what this man is arguing. He's competing with a man who is at 50% capacity, and that man is kicking his ass in a poll about mental soundness. What are you talking about? I mean, this is...
I do it because I have, a good memory, because I'm cognitively there.
Right. So, seriously, get this shit together. Think about this for a second. His argument is that that Biden he's not in prime time anymore. He's operating at 50% capacity, what he is. Well, Biden operating at 50% capacity is beating him 51 to 47 in a poll about mental soundness. How? I mean, can you imagine? They're not showing him that. I swear to God, they can't be showing him these polls. They used to hide him from him and stuff him in the stack so he wouldn't lose his mind and yell at everybody. But he's definitely not seeing them now. For God's sake,
And I think they want to use it for putting Kamala, who's a dream for them.
Kamala.
Even though she did very, very poorly. But
it's weird. So she lost, and she joined a guy who's a loser, who's operating at 50% capacity. She's a loser, but she's running him. She's managed to control the candidate that won. Yeah, I'm trying to push the tip jar thing, and it's not going. I apologize. I have to go to the actual website and start up. Sometimes it snags and won't. It gets bad. I don't understand why it is a jerk. But I This is one of those things, like, when he talks about how he was, Biden never leaves the basement. Biden never leaves the basement. He's always in the basement. He never leaves the basement. And he's not all there, and he's rambling, and it's gibberish, and he doesn't know what city he's in. He doesn't know, like, all these things. And yet, he's kicking his ass. Hold on, I have to sign in. Wait. Get back here. Weird. That's okay. I want to let me log in. Okay, now that's why, because Streamlabs is being weird. Pardon.
It's a dream for them.
I would. Oh, the good. There, it finally went through. Yay. Okay, so the tip jar is empty. So, I thank you.
She's their dream candidate because she's radical left, like.
Totally, like nobody ever. Literally, what scuttled her presidency or presidential bid was largely people thinking she was too tough on crime.
She's not even socialist. She's beyond socialist. I won't use.
You won't use the word, the dirty, filthy, dirty, commie word. Yeah, because the staff has said, stop saying communist. You sound like an old fart.
But she is far beyond.
Take tonight's show up to SNL's Cold Open for a Nevada Star. Oh, that's a good idea.
Socialist. And I
got 15 minutes, right?
What they're doing is, I've been told this by pretty good sources.
Sure.
They like, this amendment or commission for the 25th Amendment so that if he gets in, they can switch and they'll flip over like you so fast you have no idea.
Like no idea. They're gonna do this weird thing that nobody's ever done. They're just setting up. So, okay. Let's run through this. Let's run through this conspiracy theory that he's floating here. That Nancy Pelosi, who has been accused constantly of stiff-arming the squad and has used every procedural tool in her toolbox to stymie tons of things that the Republicans have tried as best she can, is so crazy liberal that her goal to get Kamala Harris, who is the greatest Trojan horse liberal in the history of the world, in that she's, they picked they did it again. They picked another black person. Well, maybe black. We don't know. Probably born in Quebec. We don't know. In Ottawa, which is probably in Nigeria. Probably, right? And her plan, Nancy Pelosi's plan, is to let Biden win the Democratic primary and then put Kamala Harris, who's not Bernie Sanders, not Elizabeth Warren, but Kamala Harris, in a position of power so that they can do a 25th Amendment and take out Joe Biden within weeks of him taking the oath. And so they can get Kamala Harris in there so that she can turn us into a communist nation. Why the shit didn't she just run Bernie? What are you talking about? They're doing it because after the election, you're going to lose your mind. And they think you might already be there. I mean, you are. You're crazy. He's a crazy person. We're listening to a crazy man. We're listening to an insane person. Donald Trump is insane right now. And he might get worse because of COVID. He might get, COVID loopy on a level that we haven't seen before. We've never seen before.
Well, we went over, but I want to thank you, Mr.
Boy, did we.
President, for all your time. Sorry for the technical bug there, but we muscled through it. And our best to the First Lady. How's she feeling?
She's doing good. She's doing good. She had it, but she's strong, young, in good shape.
She's in good shape, if you know what I mean. I wouldn't be with her if she wasn't. Jettison. I mean,
she can bull through it. It's an amazing thing, but
she can bull through it.
It's incredible with what they've developed over the last few months. What we've been able to develop. These scientists and doctors are brilliant. And
enough about my wife. Blah, blah, blah. Remember, scientists made stuff, and I if I wasn't here, science would have stopped.
We'll be seeing that very soon.
All right, sir. God bless.
Did she get a treatment? I mean, honestly, me being totally generous right now. Did Melania get the same treatment he did? Or are we in like a Gandhi quinine situation? Right? She didn't. I don't think so. She certainly didn't go to friggin' Walter Reed that we know of. We haven't heard her speak during any of this. We haven't heard her cough. You know, nobody's checking in on her. No, yeah, nobody knows what shape she's in. Thanks, JBD Surf. Thanks. This is ridiculous. Yeah, thank you guys for the follows today. Thank you guys for the for hanging out and the gift subs and the cheers and all that kind of fun stuff. It was really a good time. I wasn't, we did an extended show this morning, and I was on the fence about coming back out, but I'm glad we did this because this is kind of fun. Pence did an event. Insofar as I know, he did an event today, and but Rudy and Bill Barr we have not seen in public. But I mean, we have not seen Melania or heard her speak. I mean, he speaks about it as if, because she's young and healthy, so she'll be fine. So she's probably asymptomatic or mildly symptomatic is what we're to assume from this. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's true.
Listen, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mark.
I try, Sarah. Thank you.
You will. President of the United States.
President of the United States. He sounds almost like he finds it as unbelievable as I do. President of the United States, folks. Jeez, I mean, how did this country shit the bed so hard? Because here's the thing. Mark Levin and, all those folks at Fox, let's be abundantly clear. They all think they're smarter than Trump. And they arguably are. Really, honest to God. These folks at Fox News, Levin, all these folks, they definitely think they are smarter than Trump. I mean, they're the kind of people who think they're smarter than everybody that they're talking to anyways, which is really annoying to those of us that are smarter than them. And but it's particularly aggravating. But I will say that there is no way, if you watch these interviews, you watch Sean Hannity talk to Trump, you watch Levin talk to Trump, any of these people interviewing him, never mind the ones that, and Chris Wallace clearly falls into this as well. Even Brian Kilmeade and Steve Doocy, when they are talking to Trump, you can tell they all think, no, I would argue they know that they are smarter than the man they are talking to, and they find it unbelievable that he's in a position of power higher than them. They're just shocked. You can whenever you see it over the next couple of weeks, if we do one of these interviews, remind me to point that out if you don't see it yourself, or if you do see it yourself, say so in the chat as we watch these. If we grab if he jumps on Fox and Friends and crap like that, which he will do to make up for the fact that he's going to do a 30-minute speech instead of 2 hours or 90 minutes wherever he's going to be in Orlando. There's going to be a big lead up. HalSparks, Twitter has a new rule. You cannot tweet declarations of victory on election night. Can they actually police that? Will Trump try to declare it anyways? Yeah, all the official sources, they will block them out. So campaigns, news organizations, that kind of stuff. Individuals, it'll be a hard thing, but organizations will not be able to do it, and official accounts. Yes, I will be streaming tomorrow. There will be something going on, I have no doubt. But just remind me of that as we're watching this. And we will point out those moments where there's a little glint in their eye. There's a little moment where they're like, oh shit, this guy's a dumbass. It happens with Hannity all the time, and it's pretty hilarious. Tucker Carlson, I don't know that has there ever been an in-person Tucker Carlson interview with him? I know he's done it on the phone, but he didn't even interview him on that doctor reveal. And supposedly, maybe that's what we'll do tomorrow. They should have aired the second part of that interview that we watched from Tucker. But let's see. He'll likely call in Sunday, the version of Fox and Friends, no doubt. yeah, the next 5 months are going to be insane. The next 3 months are going to be just off the charts. The talk about resignations and all that stuff, I really think has a lot to do with the staff jumping ship and them trying to cover for themselves jumping ship. But we'll see. But watch for that part. Watch in these interviews if they have anybody on camera, even if he's on the phone. You'll see several moments. I mean, Fox and Friends is always trying to manage him. They're always doing this. They're always doing this kind of like, okay, well, yeah, thank you. Well, that's not exactly, they're trying to help him out. But yeah, this is, yeah. So it's going to be rough for him, no doubt. That whole John Cooper thing about whether or not he's resigning and all that kind of stuff, I think that comes from the talk about the staff resigning. So there you go. That said, I will sign off for the night. I will see you guys tomorrow. I'll be on in the afternoon, and then we'll do regular time all this week. There may be some mid craziness. Greta Thunberg just endorsed Joe Biden, which I thought was kind of telling and smart and kind of a nice thing. They'll call that foreign voter interference. Oh my God, this is going to be so good. I have to go watch this now. We all got to jump over and watch Jim Carrey on SNL because he's the fly Joe Biden landing on Mike Pence's head. Oh my God. Okay, I have to go watch this. I love you guys. Thank you guys for joining me tonight. It was nice to do an extra kind of late night hangout show. I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a great night. Take care of yourself and take care of somebody else. Big hugs, everybody. Have fun. We'll see you later. Thank you guys for all the love and support. You guys are fantastic.
Man's got to know his limitations.
I couldn't think of a more horrible job if I wanted to. And you have to do it.
How, in the name of Zeus's butthole, did you get out of your cell?
Sorry, I farted.
You are physically repulsive, intellectually retarded, vulgar, insensitive, selfish, stupid. You have no taste, a lousy sense of humor, and you smell.
He's you real nice. If I didn't have puke breath, I'd kiss you.
It's not Irish. It's not English.
Oh, yeah. Well, what is the contest with horses and all that?
It's just pikey.
I'm your father, Luke. Give in to the dark side of the Force, you knob.
Let me put it this way, Mr. Amer. The 9000 series is the most reliable computer ever made. No 9000 computer has ever made a mistake or distorted information. We are all, by any practical definition of the words, foolproof and incapable of error. I am a HAL 9000 computer.
Groovy. Groovy. It's a well-known fact, Sonny Jim, that there's a secret society of the 5 wealthiest people in the world known as the Pentaverate, who run everything in the world, including the newspapers, and meet tri-annually at a secret country mansion in Colorado known as the Meadows.
So who's in this Pentaverate?
The Queen, the Vatican, the Gettys, the Rothschilds, and Colonel Sanders before he went tits up.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my underground lair.
Take off, eh? Take off, eh?
Call me Snake.
Groovy. To be a moron. To be Morocco. An imbecile. Like the dumbest motherfucker that ever lived.
Man, you are one pathetic loser.
Did have shade.
I'm just a happy camper.
Nice. Nice. Not thrilling, but nice.
I was thinking of the immortal words of Socrates, who said,
So that's the kind of fun it's gonna be.
I know he can get the job, but can he do the job?
Groovy.
I'm telling you straight. It's my way or the highway.